Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the 2024 She Has a Deal Today's Woman Pitch Competition. We are thrilled to welcome the winner of the 2023 Today's Woman SHaDPitch as our mistress of ceremonies. Please join me in welcoming Portia Hood to the stage.
Hello. If you believe in the power of women, innovation, and groundbreaking deals, you're in the right place. I'm Portia Hood, and this is She Has a Deal. I'm so excited to welcome you to the landmark 5th season of She Has a Deal. Today, we stand on the pinnacle of change, a change spearheaded by SHaD, an initiative that's not just a competition, but a beacon of hope and filled with powerful women across the globe. SHaD's mission is to transform the hospitality industry by creating new pathways to hotel ownership and development for women. The mission is accomplished through 3 pivotal avenues. Firstly, She Has a Deal illuminates the path to hotel ownership, opening the eyes of women to the vast possibilities that await them in this sector. The goal is to inspire them to envision themselves as owners and pioneers. Secondly, SHaD's commitment extends to education, where they empower women with the knowledge to lead investment projects confidently. The 9-stage investment roadmap provides them with the tools and insights needed to navigate the complexities of the industry, ensuring that they are well equipped to informed decisions and drive successful ventures. Thirdly, it is the expansive network of collaborators, mentors, and sponsors. That's where you come in. The community is the backbone of SHaD's initiative, offering unwavering support, guidance, and advocacy for these aspiring women throughout their journey. It's a network that not only nurtures their growth, but also champions their cause in the broader industry landscape. And most crucially is the SHaD's Prosperity Fund, a cornerstone of the mission to bridge the gap between aspiration and achievement. The fund is the conduit through which SHaD unleashes the capital resources essential for closing deals. It's not just about providing financial support. It's about catalyzing the journey of women through being inspiring owners to being recognized leaders, hotel developers, and owners. SHaD is paving the way for a future with their brilliance, where their brilliance is not just recognized, but celebrated and leveraged for innovative growth in the industry. Now, I'd like to give you a better understanding of the impact of She Has a Deal and give you a glimpse of the women competing today. Take a look.
I'm sitting here in the courtyard of the Grand Reserve Inn. It's a very special place where you can relax, you can drink wine, eat wonderful food. I started She Has a Deal because I wanted to see more women owning and developing hotels. Women have not had the opportunity to become hotel owners and developers, and that's for a number of reasons that are societal. And this program is necessary so that we can, number one, expose and inspire women to ownership and development, let them know that it is possible.
I'm learning here the financial aspects of underwriting a hotel deal, and that's really information that you don't get a lot of places.
It's a very interesting program. It's something that I haven't been exposed to prior to now.
We are investing in women-led hotel projects that originate from our SHaDPitch, which is our hotel investment pitch competition.
The way it's set up with kind of work at your own pace with a lot of the materials, and then the weekly accountability Zoom meetings and things like that. It works perfectly for my schedule.
Our education is designed around a mentor level of education where we want to see these women succeed, and we're doing all that we can to bring access to them, industry luminaries, resources, capital, everything that they need to be able to close on a deal, but also to be successful when they're owning the hotel.
It is specifically geared toward women by a phenomenal woman with a network of other phenomenal women. And I think that's what makes it unique, in my opinion.
I can relate to the mentor, to Tracy, as a woman who has a healthcare background, as I did as well, and pivoted her career into real estate.
It's also a group that has the potential to shift the industry significantly.
Being able to be with Tracy and the other ladies that are in the program, I'm getting to know them. And I normally don't have a chance to stop, sit down, relax. It's nourishing, it's fresh, it's all of those, great things. And it's allowing us to put in, for me, a 14-hour day, and I don't even know or realize that that's what's going on.
Learning in this environment has been easy. I retained information, I had fun. I don't want to go home.
While they're in the program and they're learning and they're making their way through the 9-stage hotel investment roadmap, which includes online self-study as well as live sessions with industry luminaries, they're out looking for deals, real deals that they can either acquire or hotels that they can build or convert from other asset classes, and they're applying the learning real time. So this program was really designed to educate, expose and inspire, and bring capital to the table.
Currently, I am operating in hotels, but here I'm learning how to be an owner of a hotel. So how to own a hotel and be the person that is actually has an asset that is mine and I'm profiting.
I saw that there was a ecosystem or a network of women supporting women that was needed to maximize the possibilities of success. And then, of course, other people helping women become hotel owners, ones that really believe that there's a benefit to the whole industry when more women are owning and developing hotels.
You want to be with someone that is always looking at deals. This is what they do for a living, and you want to be able to glean that knowledge from them that you just wouldn't have been able to do yourself.
Now that I've been operating in a hotel, working at a hotel, I'm changing over to actually owning hotels and me being the profitable person in the situation.
It's been none of what I expected. Every bit of this program has been me facing fears, and I thought it would be tough for that reason, but it's not. And I almost feel like I'm doing something wrong because I'm having fun.
I've been able to get centered, I've been able to recharge. I plan to come back just for those simple things there.
We believe that when more women are owning and developing hotels, our industry will explode with innovative growth. When you invest in women, you invest in your entire community.
Well, I gotta say, that trip looked amazing, right? I'm so honored to introduce to you my mentor and friend, a transformative hotel owner, operator, and developer, the visionary of She Has a Deal, Tracy Prigmore.
She's brilliant and bold, got talent untold. Every woman lives a spirit. She's leading the way, she's winning the day. Brighter than gold, she has a deal. She has a deal.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It feels a little interesting now. Like I'm not sweating bullets like I was the last time. But I've got to say, congratulations on 5 seasons.
Thank you.
I mean, this has been transformative for me, I think for you and all of the women that have participated. While this is a milestone year, tell us the real story behind SHAD.
Well, I started SHAD because when I was in my pursuit of hotel ownership, I found it difficult to find information in the way that I needed it to take on the risk, right? So I encountered massive barriers and I wasn't able to find a mentor. So essentially, She Has a Deal is everything I wish I had when I started on my journey to hotel ownership. Everything I wish I knew before I started, everything I've learned along the way, and I pour into the platform everything that I continue to learn every day. So not to mention, there's not that many women on the hotel ownership side of the business either. And so I wanted to change that portion.
Yeah, we need that. We need that change.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Well, we can't wait to get started with the pitches. While you are here, how about you give us an overview of today's competition?
Absolutely. So today's women are seasoned professionals. They come from different parts of the real estate industry with experience ranging from development and operations to architecture and design. They are pitching real deals with real opportunities for investment. Now, each woman's going to have 15 minutes to present her project, followed by a question and answer period from our esteemed panel of judges. Now, it's important to note that the journey began 7 months ago. You guys saw the video, and the women began gaining knowledge through our SHAD EdTech platform, as well as from our luminaries live through Zoom, who shared their knowledge and wisdom around the 9-stage hotel investment roadmap. So these women will be judged based on how well they mastered the content using 5 basic criteria. Number 1, it's competitive advantage. So how do they intend to deliver value to investors? Number 2, market analysis. How well do these women really know the market in which their hotel is going to operate? 3, very important, due diligence. Did they confirm that the deal is even feasible? And 4, are they going to make any money, right? Every investor wants a return on their investment. And of course, their performance. It's so important that you have to be able to articulate what you're offering investors. So they'll be judged on how they performed and presented the deal, as well as how they respond to the questions from the judges, okay? So one of the 4 women presenting today will go home with a grand prize of $50,000 in deal equity from the SHAD Prosperity Fund. Think of it as seed money to make a big idea even bigger. So the projects you'll see today, they range from your core brand acquisition and new construction to an adaptive reuse. I'm very excited. One thing's for sure, that these women, the faces of these women is disruption, innovation, brilliance, and the future of hotel investment.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
So Tracy, I know you're going to be going over to make your way over to the SHAD Talk table, and we'll pop over there throughout the show to gain insight into the pitches and meet some of the alums of She Has a Deal. Now, the alums are women who have competed in She Has a Deal over the last 4 seasons of the program. Reflecting on SHAD's journey, the 5th season is not just a milestone, but a testament to the relentless spirit, ingenuity, and tenacity of women like Tracy who dared to dream big. In addition to the pitches you'll see today, we want you to see the metamorphic power of SHAD in action, with women emboldened, enlightened, and equipped to chart new territories in the hotel industry. Throughout the show, you'll be introduced to more alums and what they're up to. We've also added a new segment to the SHaDPitch called Where Is She Now? We'll get an update on a current project that was pitched last year. I can't wait to hear from Jenny for that.
I'll see you later, Portia.
See you later, Tracy. So it's important that we emphasize these narratives. Each story, each journey underlines a critical truth. The brilliance and innovation of women are essential catalysts for the hotel industry. Yet this potential remains largely untapped, hindered by the availability of necessary capital. SHAD confronts this challenge head on, advocating for proactive financial support to unlock the extraordinary capabilities of women. Through the SHAD Prosperity Fund, She Has a Deal is actively raising capital, not just to fund a single project, but to lay the groundwork for a revolution in hotel ownership and development led by who? Women. The Shad Prosperity Fund is open and available for you to invest into hotel projects originating not just from this year's competition, but from Shad-sponsored projects by all of the Shad alum. Just go to SheHasADeal.com and you'll see multiple ways to get involved at every level. All right, let's meet the judges. So they have the best seats in the house, but they have the hardest job today. They are experts in the industry with a mix of Shad partners and investors in the Shad Prosperity Fund. First up is Senior Vice President with Rockbridge Capital, Tara Waldier. Ann Bursch is Vice President of Full Service Development in North America for Marriott International. Next is the Vice President of Development and Managing Director at Hilton Hotels and Resorts, Lisa Waldron. Then we have John Lancaster, who comes to us from Choice Hotels, and he is the Vice President of Emerging Markets and Franchise Development. And finally, the President of Hotel Lending at Peachtree Group, Michael Harper. Let's give them a hand. So once the women have completed their pitch and have answered all of the judges' questions, they will head backstage to my counterpart, Tejal Patel. Tejal is currently the president and CEO of Neem Tree Hospitality, and she was part of the inaugural cohort of Shad. She'll get us the inside scoop in a quick backstage interview. Hey, Tejal.
Hey, Portia. How are you doing over there?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Well, hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here and cannot wait to dive into the journeys of our phenomenal Shad participants. I'll be back here conducting some backstage interviews in between our pitches, but you all, as the audience, have a very important role as well. Don't forget that in between the pitches, while I'm interviewing, there will be a QR code coming up on your screens, and we are counting on you to weigh in on the pitches using that. So keep your iPhones and your Android phones ready to go. These ratings will contribute to 5% of the total score for these contestants. Again, 5% of the total score for the contestants will be put into what the final scoring is, and that will determine who our winner is for today's and tomorrow's pitch competition. Also, don't miss out on casting your vote at the end of today and tomorrow for the Viewers' Choice Awards. And just to sweeten the deal, each pitch you rate will put you in the running for a raffle. This will include fabulous stays and free nights at hotels, as well as amazing other awards. So stay tuned, and Portia, back to you.
Thank you, Tejal. So glad you're back there. As we get ready for the first pitch, let us all be witnesses to the remarkable journey of these women. Their pitches are not just business proposals, they are blueprints for the future. Narratives of ambition and milestones in the making. We are not just evaluating deals. We are recognizing and investing in women to redefine the landscape of the hotel industry. Are you all ready for some pitches? To get us started, we have XB Hospitality led by Xavier Brown, and she is ready to make her mark.
I've always worked in hospitality my entire career, and I've literally just loved making people feel home away from home. I genuinely have a pineapple heart. Hospitality heart is what you call it. Having participated in Shad, it's definitely made me a lot more confident. Being able to say, you know, oh, this year I'm buying a hotel. People are gonna think you're crazy. But it's something about that and believing it. You know, there's a lot of things you can say but don't actually believe. But that's something that I say introducing myself, and I 100% believe that from the bottom of my heart. Shad made it tangible because in general, you just never think that until you see somebody accomplish it, you never think that you can accomplish it as well.
Step into the world of XB Hospitality, where Xavier Brown is set to elevate Memphis with a select service courtyard by Marriott. Welcome, Xavier Brown.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time today. I appreciate meeting everybody a little bit later. So jumping right into it, I don't have but 15 minutes. Let's talk passive income. So passive income is a stream of revenue that you are able to make but not work as twice as hard. So imagine with me, you get up every single morning and go to work. Most of us don't have to imagine that's real life. But imagine that as you get up to go to work every morning, your money does as well. So you get up to go to work and your money gets up and goes to work, works overtime, works weekends, vacations, no PTO. But just imagine 2 forms of income and you only have to do 1 job. So passive income is pretty cool. So let's talk about how I can make you a little bit of it, or maybe a lot. So going to our next slide here. Okay. So 7%. So the asset that is available to invest in today will be making 7% cash-on-cash return for its investors. 4.7 million. This is the amount of money that this asset has currently been bringing in revenue by the end of 2023. So let's talk cap stack. So of course, assets, purchasing of them requires funding. So this asset will require 10% sponsor equity, 15% equity partners, 65% in a senior loan, and 10% in a junior loan. We know percentages are cool, but let's talk actual numbers. So the real numbers here are your 11 million for our senior loan, our equity partners at 4 million, and 1.7 million for our junior loan, and 500,000 for our equity, personal equity. So investment strategy here. So this asset is going to be purchased at $16 million. It's going to be held for 5 years, and we're going to sell it at $19 million, which will bring a return of 15% to all investment parties. The asset here is going to be our courtyard in Memphis, Collierville. Fun story. I was telling my mom how I was buying a hotel in Collierville, Memphis, and she said, "Seriously, Collierville?" And I was like, "Collierville? Your grandma's from Collierville. How dare you say that wrong?" And I was like, oh my gosh. So I will be saying Collierville all day. So Collierville Courtyard, so the asset here has 131 keys. It also has a bistro on site. A bistro has a bar and a restaurant where guests can partake in beverages and food. Also has an indoor pool as well as a fitness center, and 3 meeting spaces on property as well. So pretty typical for your normal courtyard. So why Collierville? Collierville was just it's about 30 minutes from Memphis downtown proper. It was just numbered number 45 out of 150 cities for sports. I can only imagine that because Derrick Rose was just drafted to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm from Chicago. We love Derrick Rose, so I can only imagine that was a great asset. But also along the lines of sports, the PGA Tour also happens every single summer in Memphis as well, and it's hosted by FedEx and St. Jude. So that's also a great asset for Memphis. Demand generators. So demand generators in Collierville proper will be Kroger, FedEx, University of Tennessee, and Nike as well. So FedEx alone has about 30,000 employees in Collierville proper. So that's quite a large amount of employees in that small city. Along the same lines, the Mike Rose Soccer Complex sits on 163 acres. It has 16 FIFA-regulated courts as well. As most of you know, the Courtyard brand is built on its Smurf market. So the Smurf market is built right around a perfect area to have a soccer complex right down the road. So that's a great demand generator for this particular property. So the current performance of this property is currently sitting at a RevPAR. So the comp set is at $74 for RevPAR currently. This hotel is coming in at $92 for RevPAR. It's a pretty big jump. Occupancy, fairly close to the comp set. The comp set is at 66.8%, and this hotel is coming in at 67%. As far as ADR, the comp set itself is at $111. This hotel comes in at $137. So in all aspects, this hotel is currently performing over 100% index compared to the comp set. So when we talk index, imagine that you have a big pizza. So if you have a big pizza and you eat 100% of your pizza, that means you've got 100% of your pie. This is how I do math in my head. But so this hotel is currently eating all of its pizza that's due to it, but then also in certain areas like RevPAR and ADR, it's eating some of their neighbor's pie too. So get a little bit of my pizza, a little bit of your pizza, we're on a good road. So this hotel is currently performing very, very well for a Courtyard in this particular area. There's actually a new kid on the block, so new demand generator. If you're not familiar with this location, Ford is building a brand new electrical vehicle production plant. It's called Blue Oval City. So Blue Oval City will be stationed in Stanton, Tennessee, which is 45 minutes outside of Collierville. It currently will be built in 2025. It will be $5.8 billion worth of property, and it will be the largest production plant in the United States. It will bring about 6,000 jobs to that area, and it will be a no-waste production plant, which is pretty unheard of as we know how production in factories work nowadays. But zero waste, great asset. So Ford is loving this coming to town, and so is Memphis. So let's talk value. We just talked about how this property is currently performing well above its means, but it's my job to add value to hotels. That's what I do. So this particular asset, lowering the expenses. So when I was looking at the P&L, this asset is currently bringing in $4.7 million in revenue, but out of that $4.7 million, it's spending about 80% on expenses. That's quite a large chunk. So when I dove deeper into the P&L, it actually is currently spending $700,000 on contract labor. We know the workforce we have nowadays, a little bit of a different pool to choose from. So contract labor, understandable, but also you do have to be able to lean into your local programs, whether that be a hospitality program, an internship, on-the-job training, a trade school. I think there are a lot of ways to stipulate and mitigate contract labor when it comes to hotels. So that's a large chunk that we're gonna go ahead and decrease those expenses. Along the lines of increasing things, occupancy. Like we just talked about, this hotel is sitting very close to the comp set, which being the comp set at 6.8% occupancy, and this hotel coming in at 6.7. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there, especially with Blue Oval City coming into the area. So when it comes to increasing occupancy, we're gonna displace a little occupancy from our neighbors, borrow it, keep it. But then also with the new demand coming in the area, it'll be a lot more feasible to when they start negotiating contracts for vendors coming in town, new labor that they need, we will be the first ones on the list for negotiating those rates, thus increasing our occupancy. So that's the strategy there. Also, in the middle there, ADR and RevPAR. As we just talked about, the ADR and the RevPAR of this hotel, as it currently stands today, is very stable. It's averaging around 120% above index for the comp set. So we want to stabilize that. So your average daily rate, they're currently spending $137 on those rates compared to the comp set and $111. So we want to keep that there and or increase it. And also the revenue per available room is at $92. So people are spending $137 on a room. The asset is able to keep $92 of that. The comp set is spending selling $111 on a room, and they're only keeping $70. So those numbers are quite drastically different. So we want to stabilize that and or increase it. So ADR, RevPAR, we want to keep those stable, lower those expenses, more to the bottom line, increase occupancy. So let's talk return on investment. That's why we're here, right? Making passive income, making our money go to work for us. So this particular asset, the CBRE has said that Collierville proper is going to increase 2% year over year. So this current asset is making $4.7 million in a year. Based on the CBRE projections, it'll be to $5 million in 2025. So
making $5 million at the hotel. That is where the value comes in. So if we continue to spend 80% on that on labor, can't. So with the value added to this property, it'll be bumped down to 60%. And that's just in the first year. Because once you figure out how to not only decrease the expenses that you're spending on labor, I also took a look at the food and beverage revenue, and they're losing about $100,000 in food and beverage as well. So there's quite a few places that the expenses can be decreased. So along those same lines, as we talked about earlier, as the expenses are decreased for this property, the $5 million that it'll be making in 2025, 60% will be of revenue. That makes sure that the owners and the investors are making their 7% return by the end of the day. Also, let's get some numbers here. So this asset will be making $5 million in 2025. The investors will be investing $50,000 of that into this hotel. Once you invest $50,000 in this hotel, you get a 7% return. That is $33,000 in a year. You're like, dang it, I didn't make my money back, but we're gonna hold this asset for 5 years. So by the end of the 5 years, you'll have made $170,000. Who was working again? Was anybody working? No? Okay, so $170,000 in 5 years without having to lift a finger. Where do I sign? So, also, with that amount, the next slide, let's recap. So, purchase at $16 million. We're going to increase occupancy, decrease expenses, stabilize the ADR and the RevPAR. We want to make sure our CPORE is really good, our cost per occupied room. We don't want to spend more on those rooms if we're making more money. But also, we're going to keep it for 5 years. And so at the end of those 5 years, we're going to sell it at $19 million, and all the investors included are going to make 15% return on their investment. Let me know if I'm going too quick. Last but not least, so 8 years. 8 years is how long I have been in hospitality. I know it doesn't look it, it only takes me a little bit of time to grow until I'm perfect, so I'm just where I need to be. But in the 8 years that I've been in hospitality, it's been all capacities. So front office manager, operations manager, general manager, director, task force, all of those things. So it has always been my job to add values to hotels when I go into them. So my 5 and 5, no, those ladies are heavy hitters. You've got architects, you've got designers, you've got international investors. They're awesome. But I have to lean in on my expertise, which is operations. So I've always been able to go into a property, whether that be leadership development, keeping expenses low, operational excellence. I've always been able to make a successful transition of any property I go into. So I've got some skin in the game. Not only financially, but just it's my due diligence. And as Tracy would say, my fiduciary duty to make sure that this is successful. So without more being said in that topic, let's make some passive income. Less passive for me, I gotta do some work, but more passive for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi.
Good job. So now we are ready for the judges, and look, you left a little bit of time.
I know, dang it.
So we're gonna head into the questions with the judges.
I guess I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Great job, by the way. So during your pitch, you mentioned it was a courtyard. I have a two-part question. The first part is, do you know how long is left on that franchise agreement for that courtyard? And then the second is, are you going to manage the property yourself, or are you going to hire a management company?
Awesome questions. So the very first question, so when I submitted the LOI, I did ask the question to the ownership group at the time if they had extended that courtyard franchise, and they have for 10 years. So they started it off at a 15-year franchise agreement, and they have 10 years left. They're transitioning of the property just because they've had it for quite some time, and want to go elsewhere. But I did ask that question because that is one of the tougher aspects of purchasing a hotel is getting a new franchise license if the hotel is. This hotel was built in 2008, so traditionally you only have, well, I shouldn't say only, but most of the time you only have to worry about them not renewing that lease if the property is well and aged maturely, for lack of a better term. The second question is management. So we actually, Tracy had made a meeting for us to visit the Marriott headquarters, and we actually had that conversation about management. So I've been in operations managing hotels in a general manager capacity, but managing a hotel as an owner is a different aspect. And so depending on they do a rigorous question and answer and strategic evaluation of the owners to see if they're fitted to be a first-time manager. So my plan is to manage it because that's what I'm best at and that's what I know how to do. But with it being a Marriott, I may not be able to manage it the very first year.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Great energy, great stage presence. Not easy to go first. Good job. In the beginning, you talked about selling for $19 million, which was $145 a room. Are there relevant sales that have happened in the market that are at or above that level that make you feel confident in that sale number?
Yes. So currently in the comp set that the hotel is in right now, there are 9 other hotels. This particular hotel in a Hyatt that was just built is the newest and the largest. So they just built the Hyatt Place for, I think this hotel has 131 rooms, that one has 121, and that was just built for $115 per key. So I think selling it at that particular price, once Blue Oval City is up and running, there's no new hotels in the pipeline to be built at this moment, so these 2 hotels will be the newest products in the area.
Hi, congratulations.
I like your dress.
Love your choice of brand in your hotel. Excellent decision making by you. So can you talk a little bit more about your thoughts on the labor piece? Because part of your premise is that you're going to be able to drop labor costs. Right now, that's a pretty tough ask in the current market conditions. So can you talk a little bit more about your plan on that?
Absolutely. So the labor market now is different. I know we all are familiar with COVID. We're trying to say COVID's gone. I would love to, but we're left with the aftermath. So a lot of jobs in hospitality right now that were filled by a particular demographic are no longer returning. So being in the industry now, I know how hard it is to hire and fill and retain and all the things. So, but I think that one aspect in every hotel that I've been at is using the tools that we originally used before COVID happened. So traditionally, before I got my degree in hospitality, I was not able to get a job in a hotel because I didn't have any experience. But once I started to go to school at Johnson & Wales, my director of hospitality, she actually was a liaison for a program with Marriott. So I went through the Marriott Voyager program. But we need to lean on that still to this day because I don't think we do a lot of that anymore. We don't work with a lot of hospitality schools, a lot of trade schools for engineering, a lot of on-the-job training, so internships. Even at the Marriott managed hotels that I worked at, usually we work with a lot of universities, but here recently, those programs are not as, inviting. They're a lot more closed off now. So you have to be able to know somebody to say, can they come work at my hotel? Can they come here to do a shadow? Can they come here and do their internship? You have to already be a part of that program. But I feel like having the tools that I have right now with those programs, with Marriott Voyager program, that I'd be able to reach out. And the connections that Tracy has graciously imparted on us, I'd be able to reach out and be the liaison for that. Because I think a lot of times we want to skip a couple of steps when we're hiring people. Oh, you've worked at this hotel, or you seem to be really good at this, or you've done this before. But in order to provide the guest experience that we want to and the customer service that we want to provide, they have to actually be hospitable still. I think we veer away from that recently a little bit. But I hope that answered the question.
question for me is this hotel seems to be outperforming its competitive set, and it's got a great brand and a courtyard. It's also 16 years old, and I'm sitting here with my friends from the brands, and they like to impose capital improvements to maintain the product quality. What kind of thought have you given to capital needs at this hotel to maintain that competitive advantage?
Absolutely. So this hotel was just renovated in Q4 of 2023. So like I said, I'm 5 and 5. They're contractors, architects. I am not. So I strategically was looking for a hotel that had recently been renovated. So the fact that it was renovated in 2023 Q4, when we went to the Marriott headquarters, I did ask the question of what kind of PIP does it have to be for me not to have to redo it? And they said as long as it's a change of ownership PIP, then I don't have to redo it. But I did put in my budget of my purchase price $200,000 just in case they wanted me to replace pillows, sheets, curtains, something, because I'm pretty sure it'll be something, but that was a part of my negotiation, that if it's anything over $200,000, then I would have to walk away.
Thank you.
Where are you in the process? Can you talk more about, you talked about an LOI and your negotiation. Can you talk about the timeline?
Absolutely. So I reached out to the current owner of the hotel when they put the hotel up for purchase. I submitted actually reached out before I submitted to ask why they were selling, because with Blue Oval City coming in town, with it being finished near soon, they just finished a renovation. I was just curious why you would sell an asset that is performing above the comp set, it has revenue coming in, there's gonna be new demand. And they actually just said that loan contract was coming. The loan was maturing, so they were thinking that once the loan matured, it would be a little bit different of a price than they got for their interest. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I know when I get my loan, it's gonna be, so I'm not worried about it. But with that in mind, I just made sure that it was, I should say two things. So with them maturing in the loan, the LOI that I submitted, I wanted to know what their time frame for closing was, because if it was a rush, then I would be concerned. But they said they had a time frame within 90 days as well. So I was like, okay, well, you're not in a rush. You seem to be answering all my questions. So once I submitted the LOI, they came back and had a few more questions on, like sponsorship, syndication, all the things. So we're just in the process of verifying all those things before we sign the contract and move forward. But yeah, right in the midst.
Great job out there.
Thank you.
To touch on your 5-year hold plan, and it looks like you talked about some great new generators coming into the market. It's already a nice performing asset, and it looks like most of your comp set was last open 2008, 2009. Did you contemplate any new hotels coming in that 5-year hold?
So that was my thought. So new hotels in the pipeline, I was a little concerned about because with Blue Oval City starting, the location of this hotel, it's, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, Kerrigan Crossing. It's a outdoor outlet mall kind of situation. So there's only 2 hotels, this hotel and the Hyatt Place, but they're catty corner to each other. So as we're mostly familiar with outlet malls, they're vast span. So you would have to drive to the other hotel in order to get to it. So there's not a location in that area that they could possibly build another hotel, because if they built another one, right next door is 136 acres of soccer complexes, so they would have to go past that. So if somebody really wanted to be in that vast area, they would have to stay at one of these 2 hotels. So I was kind of worried about it at first, but then once I got familiar with the area, they would have to go quite out of that vicinity to build something new for it to even be worth, as even the amount of rooms that would be competitive to my set.
So that would conclude.
Oh, shoot.
That would conclude the judges' questions.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Xavier. You did a great job. I am actually going to send you backstage to Tejal.
Sending me away.
Yes. So for the audience, now this is where we need your participation. And for those watching us online and streaming us live, it is time to rate this pitch. Your ranking will represent 5% of their final score. So use the QR code on the screen to give your feedback right now. At the end of the show, you'll have the opportunity to come back and vote on your favorite pitch for the Viewer's Choice Award. And every time you rate and vote on a pitch, you'll be entered to win one of the amazing door prizes, like hotel stays, swag, and some other goodies. All right, Tejal, take it away.
All right, thanks so much, Portia. I have Xavier here with me. Xavier, first pitch of the day, first pitch of the event. Tell me how you're feeling.
Butterflies, moths, dragons, all those things.
Do we need to get you some Pepto-Bismol? Well, so you mentioned upon the community of Collierville. Did I say that correctly?
Collierville.
Can't have your grandma come after me.
I know, right? I don't want any problems with her.
So tell us a little bit, how do you envision the local community interacting with your hotel project?
Super excited. So this hotel is strategically placed in an area that is transient and local. So if you're coming out from out of town and you're in this area, you're definitely going shopping. Most people in great moods. But if you're coming as a local, you're coming to that area because you're just like, oh, we're going to make a weekend out of it. We're going to stay at a hotel. We're going to go shopping, go get some dinner. So it's going to be a very fun time. And with the Blue Oval City coming in the area, it's just going to be even more a mix. So it'll be fun.
And you touched upon, I love your background, by the way. You talked about having a background in operations and management within the hotel industry.
Yes.
So what inspired you to now pursue hotel ownership?
Well, honestly, I've always had a big God dream of being able to own a hotel, but I never thought it was real. You know, I was like, I can operate a hotel. And one day I was like, well, I'm making the stakeholders so much money by operating these hotels so well that why not my own hotel? And when I saw Tracy, I was at work one day, her magazine came through my desk and I was like, what? She looks like me. She's done what I want to do. It can happen. So it was a very interesting moment.
You know, I think I can definitely say that as being who was part of a cohort, that's pretty much how we've come across Tracy. We've seen some sort of social media thing about she has a deal or some of the most incredible things she's doing, and then next thing you know, we just get into she has a deal. So with that, how has your process been in terms of the education and your journey thus far?
Very robust. So the journey has been very robust. Tracy does not hold back. She wants you to know all the things. She does not want you to be in front of a group of people and feel small in the room. She gives you the tools to make sure that you know the lingo, because she does not want anybody talking about things that you don't understand. So she gives you the lingo and the confidence to stand out in any room. So it's been great.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Xavier. Best of luck and welcome to the She Has a Deal alumni cohort.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so next up, without the support of many of our incredible partners and sponsors, we would not be able to have season 5 of She Has a Deal. And so with that, please divert your attention to your screens as we hear a few words from our founding sponsors, or 2 of our founding sponsors, Marriott International and Hilton Hotels.
Founded nearly 100 years ago, Marriott International's culture of putting people first goes back to our earliest days. Today, our development strategy remains firmly rooted in our values. Our commitment to owners and franchisees has never wavered, and together, we've grown globally. You benefit from market availability and development opportunities, while guests experience more choices from a diverse and innovative portfolio of brands. Our brands and product types offer you flexible options for any market. Whether new build, conversions, adaptive reuse, all-inclusive, or residential projects. From day one, you benefit from access to high-value guests through the world's most celebrated loyalty program and to Marriott's powerful sales and marketing engines that maximize hotel revenue from leisure, business, and group customer segments. Our unmatched global scale creates efficiencies and cost savings for you, and our ability to attract top talent combined with our training programs, optimizes operations and drives industry-leading performance. From breaking ground to opening and operating your hotel, Marriott is with you every step of the way by gaining more power today and driving more value tomorrow. Together, we will own the future.
Our team members represent hundreds of nationalities and span multiple generations. We're dedicated to creating the best, most inclusive home away from home for all of our team members. We're doing this by listening and learning from our team members' unique perspectives and empowering our global team member resource groups, which build communities across the diverse segments of our team and share their unique perspectives as we design our business strategy. We're proud of the meaningful work we've done over the past decade and honored to have received recognition for our efforts. But we know there is more work to be done. We believe that Hilton is an engine of opportunity and a beacon of hope for everyone we serve. We're so appreciative of all our partners and our team members who are with us on this journey and look forward to our bright future together.
Hey, how are you
Hey.
ladies
Hey.
doing?
Hey.
You know, this year's Shad Table Talk is a little different. I usually sit with some sponsors, but because this is the 5th season, I brought my girls with me, Shad alum. How are you guys?
Hi, everyone.
So we have Monica, Emily, and Jessie, all from SHaDPitch 2022. Did I get that right? 22? Okay, so let's talk about Xavier's presentation. Now, I'm going to say stage present, style, amazing. What did you guys think?
I loved her energy. Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Great energy, great humor, and really felt very passionate about the deal.
She looked really relaxed, but as we know, when she got backstage, she had a lot of things going on.
She held it together.
So, okay, so let's get down to the deal stuff, though. So I'm doing the math, and I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm in the market right now. $16 million, 131 keys, that's $122 a key? Was that all in? Or did you guys tell me? Because I thought that's a great price.
I think at the end there were some PIP questions that I heard from the judges, and you know, it sounded like there might have to be an opportunity to go over and have Marriott come in and make a PIP. It sounds like Xavier had a conversation there about that and finding that $200,000 magical number, because that would be kind of the big part that would add to that key value if there's a PIP that actually gets thrown in.
Yes, that's a good point. I think one of the things I heard her say, though, was that she included a contingency in her LOI around the PIP, which I thought was extremely smart, and a way to try to mitigate some of that PIP risk.
I was paying attention to the debt.
Okay.
Having a senior and a junior debt, and then planning to refinance in 5 years is sometimes a little risky, because I've been in deals where you couldn't refinance.
Right.
It was very difficult.
Well, I think she was going to exit in year 5. Yeah, she was going to exit in year 5. So, but I was curious as to why she was going to put a piece of junior on that, and she didn't get into those details. I would have loved to hear those details, because it could have been strategic. And so I would have liked to hear about that. But I'm still hung up on the $122 a key. That's a great price with a $4.5 million top line. Emily, I know you work in the property management space. Tell me, like, are you seeing that type of acquisition per key?
I feel like I'm seeing everything, Tracy. Everything and everything in between. In some of the major markets, right, you're seeing $300 a key. You can see crazy prices in the major markets. I think in a sub-market, like, I'm going to butcher the name now, Collierville, she was trying to teach all of us. I was trying to learn. I still think under that 150 is a good benchmark, and I think that is kind of one of the things that makes it striking, having the Marriott name, putting the keys at under 150. I think that's intriguing.
So from an investment perspective, let's talk about, or I'm thinking about the criteria that we established for, and whether she's going to make it to the number 1 spot. So I'm thinking about, okay, so from a competitive advantage, I would have loved for her to have come right out and articulated the deal thesis. So I was a little not clear in the beginning what she was going to do, but I loved how she leaned into her operations background and that the value was going to be achieved by operating more efficiently. So a 20% margin on a courtyard, depending on how well the bistro does, probably makes sense. It can be challenging with the bistro. Sometimes the bistros lose money. But talk to me about, what you guys saw or what you felt, with respect to as an investor and whether or not, she proved or persuaded you to invest in this deal.
Well, I thought the labor cost was a good catch. And I'm invested in a hotel in Memphis right now. And one of the things that our owners and sponsors have done is really build relationships with some of the local colleges and universities, and it's really paying off for them to have those interns. And so I think she's on the right track with that piece.
I think a deal is always intriguing when you have somebody from an operations background. I really thought that once she got to the deal thesis and once she started going over the fact that she had looked at the expenses and understood that there were some expenses that were standing out, that's something that someone who's been a GM or an operator can really look at and say, well, wait a second, something looks off here. And I think that's something that she's able to bring to this deal, is that perspective. I think it definitely sounds like labor is something to work on. Monica, you have experience with Memphis. I don't know if Memphis is still really struggling with the labor issue.
Well, I think everybody is struggling with the labor
Yes,
issue.
yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if Memphis is any different. I know they do pull from other areas, like right across the border in Mississippi. They've got folks coming across the border to work in Memphis. So I think there's opportunity there.
I think I was really impressed with her operations background and her ability to go through the weeds and the P&L and identify areas of opportunity. I think I would have loved to hear a little bit more about the competitive set and what her initiatives were to maintain that bigger piece of the pie, as she explained, and that index over 100%, because clearly it is performing well with new demand drivers coming into the market. Just would have liked to hear a bit more about the comp set and what differentiates this courtyard to be able to grab that new demand.
So it sounds like you ladies have confidence in her ability to operate the hotel. The return on investment, is it appealing to you? I was a little confused. She talked about the 7% cash on cash, but I wasn't quite sure what the IRR metrics were. What were your thoughts? What did you take away from that?
I agree with you there. I think it would have been helpful to have that information a little bit more clear, because that really is what everybody is here to hear about, and that's what's going to attract your investors, as well as the confidence in the operator and the owner, your partner.
Now, did you take a look at the model? Because I don't remember what the IRR was on that.
I think it was around
It was
15.
15.
It was about 15? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I thought that her slides could have given me the numbers. I'm a visual learner, so I would have appreciated not only her saying it, but being able to see it, at least the numbers part at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a 15% IRR in a 5-year. I mean, even on the exit at a 145 a key. Was it 145 a key?
145
I think, on the
exit.
I mean, that's reasonable. I wouldn't have any reason to believe that could not be achieved. I do like the Memphis market. I've looked at it and put in a few deals there. What do you guys think about the Memphis market with its ability to be able to continue to grow? Because occupancy was part of her strategy. Without that occupancy growth, can she still achieve that 15% IRR?
I think something that stood out to me is it sounds like this new Ford facility that's coming will obviously bring in new demand, but she did mention 45 minutes away. I'm not sure what is between those 45 minutes in terms of supply.
Yeah.
And we talked about new supply specifically in Collierville, but we also have to think about what's the new supply in the greater premise of this new facility. I think there would be eventually some push if you had some big events there where you'd get some of that business. But I'm not so sure on this direct market how much of an impact it would have.
Okay. Any last thoughts?
I thought she did fantastic. I'm so excited for her and to hear what happens as she progresses through the process.
All right.
I think she found a good deal. She did a great job up there, and excited to see where she goes with it.
I give her an A+ on performance, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, ladies. We'll see you for the next pitch.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next pitch will start at 2:40. Stay with us as we continue the 2024 Today's Woman SHaDPitch competition. Welcome back to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Portia Hood.
Are you feeling good? Good. So we're getting ready for our next pitch. So we just left Tennessee and we're going to head over to Georgia. Next, we have Venus Gerwin from Emerald Hospitality Group, and she's going to take the stage and shine through.
My experiences within the SHAD program over the last 9 or 10 months has been really awe-inspiring. Learning about Tracy's 9-step roadmap to hotel ownership has been a really invigorating process, really eye-opening. I've been working on hotels from the architecture side. Let me explore the ownership side of this. And once I did, I felt like something that I could do and that I could be successful at. Going through this program with so many women of different industries, all hospitality related, but still we all gel together as a great group of ladies that bring our own distinct talents to the table. I'm dreaming on a much bigger scale now through the SHAD program. Developing a hotel with that casino component in my grandmother's memory would be the biggest dream that I could make come true.
Discover a new gem in Atlanta's crown with Venus Gervin's Emerald Hospitality Group, masters of adaptive reuse for boutique spaces. Please welcome to the stage, Venus Gervin.
Good afternoon. My name is Venus Gervin, and my company is Emerald Hospitality Group. Our motto is transforming hidden gems. I've located a hidden gem in Stockbridge, Georgia, right next to a golf resort that I know you'll be interested in investing in. This asset is currently an assisted living facility. It was built in 1990. It sits on nearly 7 acres of land. It's about 35,000 square feet, 3 stories. It has 60 rooms, 68 parking spaces, and the asking price is $8.5 million. The neighboring building is one of the famed golf courses in the area. It has 3 golf courses, 27 holes. It hosts annual LPGA tournaments, annual celebrity golf tournaments. It's also the home course to the Morehouse College golf team. The golf tourism business is expected to reach $8.2 billion in the year 2028. And golf, this whole industry has become a reliable driver for business traffic, for tournament and event traffic, as well as leisure tourism. In addition to golf, the property also hosts large weddings and event venues. Guests can reach upwards of 300 plus. Both of these properties reside in Henry County, Georgia, which has been the fastest growing county in metro Atlanta for several decades now, still projected to continue growing for another 2% annually. This sits on a major I-75 corridor. It's connecting one of the busiest ports in the country in Savannah to the world's busiest airport in Atlanta, several leisure demand drivers. Because of this, most of the hotels in this area are clustered at the highway exits. They're capturing the economy, the extended stay, and the mid-scale category. There are no upper upscale hotels in this area. So for that reason, my deal thesis, I'm going to renovate this into an upper upscale boutique hotel to capture unmet demand in this asset class. I'm going to acquire the property below asking price. I'm going to target upscale destination group travelers. I'm going to target tournament and event attendees. I'm going to position this property to be the host hotel for the neighboring asset. I'm going to use a third-party management to achieve operational efficiency. I plan to stabilize this asset in year 3 and then exit in year 6. I plan on exiting in year 6 with a projected return, levered return of 30.97%, with a MOIC, multiple on invested capital, of 3.91, with an average cash-on-cash return of 22%. A little bit about my background. I've been an architect for the past 20 years now. My career has spanned from sports and recreation to student rec centers, community and municipal, as well as large hotels and resort properties. Currently, my career has also touched into the adaptive reuse space, and that's taking old historic properties and turning them into boutique hotels. And we've also take properties that have become distressed and pull them out of receivership to bring them back to life. So with that, with my background in sports and recreation, hospitality, adaptive reuse, as soon as I laid eyes on this property, I knew that I would be a good sponsor for this deal. I knew that this would be a great first deal for someone with my background. We are currently at the purchase and sale agreement. We have a signed LOI with an agreed upon purchase price of $6.8 million. And so since I'm getting this property at such a steep discount to replacement costs, I'm budgeting $3.2 million for my renovation efforts. I'm expecting to close in mid-August, and these are the soft brands that have looked at the property and expressed interest. This property is in Eagles Landing community. It's a very affluent pocket of Henry County. It's home to a lot of celebrities and very prominent business owners. Home sales are in the range of $1 to $2 million, with a median real estate price of $582,000. There are no upper upscale properties in this area, and I would like to target all of this unmet demand. So I'm positioning this property as the Emerald Terrace Inn at Eagles Landing, providing an upscale haven that balances classic charm with secluded luxury. This property is nicely tucked back from the entry gate. It's comfortably nestled within its community, surrounded by mature trees and very stately grounds. Its most distinguishing architectural feature are the long, continuous terraces on its exterior facade. So on the exterior, I plan on focusing the renovation dollars on landscaping, upgrading internet security features, and upgrading these railings just to be more consistent with the Georgian revival style architecture. Very minimal on the exterior. Then on the interior, I would like to add a few new revenue generating ideas in addition to a full interior refurbishments to meet whatever brand I select. I'm going to incorporate an indoor golf suite. Now, these golf suites cost about $15,000 to $25,000 to install, but yet they're bringing in almost $250,000 in annual revenue for hotels. So I'm definitely interested in that, especially as the golf industry continues to grow. This concept is becoming more and more attractive to hotel properties. This will allow me to take advantage of golf's off-season. I can still pull in traffic from that and also incubate new users for the outdoor golf course. I'm going to incorporate some specialty dining concepts. I like to do Sunday brunch with a celebrity chef that gets brought in, tasting events, things of that nature. And then on the upper levels, I'm going to just adjust the unit mix to incorporate some suites and double queen units. Here's an example of a mood board. I like a deep neutral palette using the emerald green as my primary accent color. And then I don't want every single room to be the same, so I'm going to incorporate a different alternate palette also to choose from. And here's just some other looks to just balance out the look and feel of the property. Some of my pro forma highlights. I've based my demand projections on the projected growth pattern for the Atlanta MSA, where occupancy tends to fluctuate. However, RevPAR is still growing annually at a 6% rate, and that's driven largely by the average daily rate. In year one, I've adjusted my numbers down to account for the period that will be down for renovations. In year two, I've adjusted my numbers upward to account for the fact that Atlanta will be the host city for the 2026 World Cup. And then in year three, that's when I've dropped my numbers slightly down to factor in the fact that there won't be that global demand driver anymore, and I'm stabilizing the entire market in year three in my projections. I've reduced, so with an occupancy, I've stabilized this asset in year three at a 68% occupancy, a $225 average daily rate, and a $155 RevPAR. Here's my comp set. Again, there are no upper upscale products in my current market. This nearest competitive set is the Kimpton, which is at the airport. Someone has to go all the way to the airport, which is 20 to 30 miles away, to get an upper upscale asset. Sources and uses with an acquisition price of $6.8 million, a renovation of $3.2 million, closing costs at $656,000. My total project costs are expected to be $10.6 million. I'm assuming a senior loan at 65% loan to value at 8%, which means I'll be seeking $3.7 million from equity partners. I'm expected to close in mid-August with a 6 to 7 month renovation period, and I'm expecting grand opening in the spring of 2025. Again, targeting in year 6 with an internal rate of return of 30.97%, a multiple on invested capital at 3.91, an average cash-on-cash return at 22%. I'm going to use the preferred equity model with a 70-30 split after 8%. I'm projecting a 10% cap rate with a projected sales price of $16.6 million. Again, I'm going to buy it right, I'm going to renovate it right, I'm going to operate it right, and I'm going to sell it right. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to get started. So you finished a little bit early too, didn't you? You guys are getting right to it. So we'll get started with the judges' questions. Tara, actually, let's start with you. Can we start with you?
We can. Great job.
Thank you.
I think you did really well adapting and thinking on your feet when some of the slides were not where you wanted them, so great job. Also, I think your brand is super clever and smart. Emerald and the catchphrase of finding the hidden gem. Loved that.
Thank you.
And your emerald jacket all hangs together, and I love it. Super impressed. So I guess I was looking at the floor plans, and this is right up your alley with an architecture background.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit? It looked like the entrance was sort of on the middle floor.
Yes, it was.
And the kitchen and F&B area was on the ground floor.
Yes.
Is there anything that you plan to do on the entrance floor, F&B wise, a bar or any kind of revenue generating outlet there?
Yes, there's a living room. I can go back to that. Yes, here's the main entry. In the back there's a living room with a serving station off to the side. So yes, I plan to rent that out for private events and have it available to the community as a gathering space.
Also, I haven't been in an assisted living building in a while, but this looks kind of nice with the grand stairway and the terraces. I was impressed.
Yes.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. A question for you about your assumptions on the renovation cost. At $53,000 a key, that feels pretty light, given that you're going to do a full renovation of what are currently, retirement rooms or assisted living rooms, and you have to turn into a cool kind of boutique hotel, and then you've got some public space renovations. So how did you come up with that cost per key?
Well, some of the brands have already walked the property, and that was primarily driven from an estimate from them, as well as some of my own research as well, using AVS valuation tools.
Okay, great.
Great job up there.
Thank you.
You mentioned maybe some change out of total key count, maybe breaking some walls and creating some suites. Do you mind just going through what is there today, and then I think you're netting at 60. Is that your plan, or just walk through that again?
So
keys?
what's there today, they have 58 rooms right now. There's a fitness room that they're using, and I'm going to turn that into a guest room. It already has a bathroom suite in it as well. So I don't have to add any toilet fixtures. I'm just changing the use of the room. So for fitness, I would like people I'm working out a day pass for the country club next door, so all of their fitness can be taken care of right next door. And then same for there's a room that they're using as a suite. I'm going to turn that into a usable room with maintaining the adaptation for a suite. And so that's how I'm getting from 58 up to 60.
Michael, looks like you're ready to go.
I am. As an Atlanta resident, this one's great to look at, and I understand the market pretty well. But one thing that I would like to ask about that I didn't hear covered is see a lot of leisure demand down there. You mentioned the golf events and otherwise. How did you think about filling this hotel midweek and business demand within this market?
So I don't, plan on relying totally on the demand from the asset next door. I don't want to base my entire pro forma on a property that I don't technically have any control over. So that's why I'm introducing the new programmatic elements, the indoor golf suite, the community events using the dining hub as a draw to draw people in midweek.
Just to add on that, since I'm not familiar with the market, I know you mentioned no upper upscale nearby. What are the closest hotels? Is it more that capturing that midweek demand, even at a select serve?
Yes, the closer hotels are clustered at the highway, and they are your extended stays, your Holiday Inns, your upper mid scales.
John, let's hear from you.
Yeah, so I was just going over your assumptive ADR, which was, I believe, 225, and the comp set was 195. Yes. And how did you come up with that assumption, and how are you going to market that hotel again to get that higher ADR?
Well, I came up with that assumption because looking at those comps do not have any destinations right next to them. I am right next door to a major destination for that community. The only other one in the comp set was the Kimpton, and that's located right next to the Porsche Experience Center in Atlanta. Outside of that, that's the only hotel that has an immediate demand, kind of built-in demand driver right next to it. So I felt like I could command a little bit more than they do. They're also, with the affluent nature of that area, I also felt like I could bump up my ADR due to the demographics of the area also.
In addition, I believe you had your your internal rate of return at 39%?
30.9%.
30.9%.
Yes.
And tell me how you came up with that number.
Well, I've put in all of my adjusted revenue for the new elements that I'm going to add. I factored in, I assumed an X amount of my occupants would spend, $25 or $30 per day on this particular program. And so that's how I factored in my revenues. And then I projected my demands. I received a profit and loss statement from my STAR report on my competitors. And so I've kind of projected my P&Ls based on being competitive with that. And that's how I came up with that rate.
Thank you.
So I have another question. It's I guess, kind of a two-part question. The first is, I understand that there isn't really anything that's upper upscale kind of in this space nearby, but I am curious, were there any golf or other sort of leisure-focused resorts in the greater Atlanta area that you looked at? And that's part A, I guess. And the second question is, you know, I was looking at your pro forma, and given the event space and some of your programming that you're thinking of doing, it seems like F&B actually is a little light.
Yes.
So I'm just curious if you could maybe pull from some of the, if there are some other comps you can find in the area and look at that, and what did you benchmark against for F&B?
Yes, and so the model you have, there was an error on my F&B projection, so I have fixed that since then. So the 3.9 MOIC is actually correct based on my updated model.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
So are there any other sort of resort properties that you can look at that would be
yes,
more comparable,
there
even if it's a
are.
little bit farther?
There's a Fox Hall Resort in Douglasville, Georgia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area, but it also has, it's a hunting grounds, and it also has a lodging component with it. There's also another, there's a large, like 1,000-acre hunting preserve located in Henry County also, and it also has a lodging component to it.
To piggyback on John's question, to get to that 30 IRR, did you assume a refinance in your term?
No, I did not.
So you had like a $10 million cost basis and $1.6 million NOI.
Yes, ma'am.
In your first full year, so opportunity there.
Yes.
The neighborhood, is that on? The neighborhood looks lovely, as you mentioned, the golf course there. Pivoting to a hotel use, have you contemplated with the economic planner or the city? Is there any community weigh-in to contemplate a flip to a hotel use?
Yes, we're constantly talking with the planning and zoning department, as well as the facility next door as well. So yes, there's people are getting excited about this project.
So we're at the 1 minute mark. Any other questions?
Actually, I do. So on that note, your entitlements and your planning timeline felt a little bit aggressive. I know you want to hit the big events. So can you just walk us through how what's your comfort level on that timeline?
Oh, I'm pretty comfortable on that timeline. I'm not really trying to be ready by the World Cup. That's not my sole focus. I know a lot of my clients are on my day job, but that's not my sole focus. I am confident on that timeline based on what I know I can do.
Anything else you want to
No.
add?
Final call.
Final call. Okay, well, thank you so much, Venus. I got to tell you, I mean, if you're telling me you're going to give me 3 times my money back, I'm going to invest with you.
Thank you. Let's get your green jackets ready, people. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Okay.
you go ahead and go to the back of Tangel, get interviewed there. And while she's heading backstage, I want to remind the audience and everybody in the room and everybody watching live stream to go ahead and rate this pitch. Remember, your ranking will represent 5% of their final score. So you want to use that QR code on the screen to give your feedback right now. At the end of the show, you'll have the opportunity to come back and vote on your favorite pitch for the Viewer's Choice Award. Every time you rate and vote on a pitch, you'll be entered to win one of our amazing door prizes like hotel stays, swag, and some other goodies. All right, Tejal, are you ready back there?
I sure am.
Take it away.
All right, so I have Venus here who just pitched her adaptive reuse project. Venus, how do you feel after pitching, I guess, essentially what is your dream project to the entire world?
I feel so relieved that this pitch is over with. I'm curious and to know how I did. I want to bring on new investors. I hope everyone can see the beauty in this project that I do.
Wait, Venus, didn't they tell you this is just a test run? You still got to pitch tomorrow.
I know. Well, that's the first of many pitches, I believe.
Of course, I love it. One thing that I really found intriguing was your background. And so, what is the story that inspired your background in the hospitality industry and specifically in the adaptive reuse space?
Well, that came from just working in this industry. You get to touch on a lot of different touch points. Like I said, I started in sports and rec, and my career has just progressed and advanced into all different types of architecture. And falling into the hospitality space was just kind of natural, and it's what my firm offers also. My firm that specializes in this in hotels and large resorts. So it just kind of came natural.
And one thing that also really struck out to me was the mood board that you had presented. And so as you're positioning this property into an upper upscale asset, how important is the design and the interior component to the project?
Well, having an upper upscale component, the look and feel is going to be so vital to establishing that first impression for a luxury clientele. And so that's what I hope to achieve with the mood board.
And we've talked about your financial vision for this project, but what is the overall long-term dream vision that you have?
Well, the overall long-term dream vision is to have a hotel with a casino component, just like this one. So that's the long-term goal.
Well, I hope that now that we're connected, you'll allow me a nice little friend discount
to
stay at your hotel.
Of course.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much again. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And welcome to the SHaD Alumni Cohort.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. So now we're going to take a few moments to hear from our empowering and inspiring sponsors, IHG and Choice.
IHG One Rewards, 19 hotel brands, 6,000 global destinations, one loyalty program that lets you guest how you guest.
Only one woman for every 9.4 men holds investment or development positions in the hospitality industry, and the number of female hotel owners is not representative of the industry's diverse consumers. This is because female entrepreneurs have access to less financing than men and get smaller loans at higher interest rates on average. It's time to rebalance the scales of opportunity. As an organization who has been at the forefront of empowerment and hospitality for over 20 years, Choice Hotels is now investing more than ever to help women become a force in the industry. Introducing Hotels by Choice Hotels, a program designed by women for women to make the dream of hotel ownership more attainable for women worldwide. It's our mission to support and empower female entrepreneurs through dedicated training, turnkey solutions, and financial guidance. To reach underrepresented groups, Choice Hotels remains the first and only hotel company with dedicated personnel solely focused on extending opportunities in hotel ownership. And with more women investors, enthusiasts, innovators, and up-and-comers in the hospitality industry than ever before, there's never been a better time than now. Hotels by Choice Hotels, building equity through hospitality.
I have to take a moment to just thank our sponsors. Every time I watch the videos, and I get chills thinking about the vision I had and how they all stepped up to bring this to life. So can we just thank our sponsors real quick? Yes. One of our sponsors, Rockbridge. My thing dropped. Got a technical issue, but I'm going to just turn it over here. One of our sponsors, Rockbridge, we have Lauren Graff, who is an early career SHaD alum. And you pitched with San Diego State and second place, I believe? Yes. So Lauren's joining the SHaD Talk table. And we also have Emily back again, as well as Monica, SHaD alum from Today's Woman 2022. So ladies, was this our first adaptive? No, this is not our first adaptive reuse. No, we had another one. Thank you. I knew something was wrong. Okay, so We have Lauren, Emily, and Monica here joining me, all SHAD alum, to the SHAD Talk table. And I was just saying, is this our first adaptive reuse? But it's not. Monica, you pitched an adaptive reuse back in 2022,
Yeah,
a very
it was a
nice one.
historic building in Toledo, and I learned so much, which is why we did not do the deal. So I'm really excited about this property and this pitch that Vanessa has done. Venus, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I like the deal too. I actually had a chance to tour it with Venus when I was at the Hunter Hotel Conference, another sponsor. Check that out. Okay, so ladies, what are your thoughts? Let's talk about the competitive advantage here. So was it clear to you what Venus's deal thesis was? What is she going to do here? Tell me what you think about that and how that rates.
Well, firstly, I want to say that I think Venus did a great job. I said to Tracy, her calm, collected, and cool demeanor for me was very impressive to be that calm and collected. She had some great on-the-spot answers. For her deal thesis, I see that her idea really is to transform this opportunity of the assisted living facility into something high-end and unique in this market that doesn't have something like this. Which I like. It sounded like she did her due diligence in the market in terms of really looking and seeing what the comp set was, and she has something that can stand out.
Monica?
I love a boutique hotel. It's like one of my favorite things, so I'm very excited. I like the architecture of the building itself and the look of it and bringing in that southern charm. I think she was really clear about her market, and you know, when there's that high-end kind of environment in community, you want your guests, your visitors, to stay somewhere that's comparable if they're not staying in your home. So I think she'll do well.
One of the things I was thinking, you know, she didn't really focus on what the brand was going to be, meaning, you know, we talked about this and she pretty much kind of flowed through it a little bit, but is she going to put a soft brand on this? Can she be successful without a brand in today's environment? And I'd like Lauren to really talk to that, because I know Rockbridge stepped out there and created the Junto, if I'm pronouncing that right, a beautiful hotel. I have had a chance to stay there a couple of times. What do you think? Soft brand or stay independent? What would you think about, you know, her strategy? She really didn't lean in either way.
I mean, I definitely think there's advantages either to independent and soft brand. Independent may feel a little bit harder to get some of that group business and transient business, because with the brand, obviously, you have a vast loyalty membership programs that can bring in business, as well as, you know, get lower fees on OTAs. So I think probably soft brand, I think, would be a good option for her to use. But I think I saw that she had JDB, the Hyatt, which I think is a really great option for this, as they, you know, kind of cater to more neighborhood-based hotels rather than like very urban areas, which I feel like a lot of other soft brands that also cater to smaller room count hotels. So this one only being 60, you need to find a brand that caters to that, and I think that there's some good options in soft brands.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, she, I think she looked at Hyatt Joie de Vie, Hilton Tapestry, and Wyndham Trademark. But all of the top brands have the soft brand, so there's a lot of options. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, her complete that research and make the decision. I think if she's going to get that 225 ADR in that market, that affiliating with a soft brand would be smart. And of course, we have a lot of brand partners here that would be probably love to have their name associated with what the product that she's going to create. Let's jump to return on investment. You know, part of the criteria is about, you know, having that competitive advantage. I think she will have a competitive advantage in the market, but can she get to a 225? Now, one of the judges asked a question, and I have to say, because, you know, these are all of my, you know, my mentees, that I felt like Venus froze a little bit on the performance. She knows more than she projected with respect to the questions around transient business during the week. So Venus actually put an offer in for a deal for a Holiday Inn Express in the market that does extremely well. And I thought I would have liked her to have used that as a reference point to what is possible. But what are you guys' thoughts around a 225 in a suburban market, Stockbridge and Atlanta?
I've been living in cities for too long, Tracy. I think I
Okay.
was turning to the ladies here. When I heard 225 for luxury, I thought, well, that's a deal. I think
Right.
I was interested. I heard the judges asking some questions about, comp set and really being able to dig into, this is a unique property, right? We're doing something different. It's hard to compare it to the Holiday Inn that's in the market. So really coming up with a comp set of kind of comparable properties and looking at what are they doing for ADR. That's, I think, going to be a little bit of a challenge when you have something like this. For me, I think when you say 225 luxury, I would hope that she's pushing a higher ADR, and perhaps it's going to be, the RevPAR gets hurt a bit because of that midweek business being missing.
Yeah, but we're talking really an upper upscale as opposed to a luxury, right? In that market, I think a luxury would probably be hard, to really sell on a continuous basis.
Yes.
But on an upper upscale, I think she could pull that off, having something unique. And then, I didn't know that she had added the golf suites. So I love when you add that additional revenue. And I've always been coaching, the participants. You guys know this. Find additional revenue. How we talk about like an extra $100,000 on a 10 cap. That's $1 million in value. I'm telling my team, push snacks, push soda, and then she didn't spend a lot of time talking about the F&B component, which in many of the boutique hotels do very well and sometimes outpace rooms revenue. Thoughts about that, Monica? I know you really focused on that in your pitch back in 22.
I think having a really great restaurant, I think her brunch idea and some of her celebrity chef ideas are really good, and they will bring in people and also promote the hotel. So then when people think about coming to the area or advising their friends and family to come, they'll say, oh, well, this is a great place. We have brunch there every Saturday, etc. I just have a fear about expenses when whether it's the F&B or other expenses when it's an upper upscale. So that's kind of the only place I have a hesitancy. Otherwise, I really love the deal.
A couple more minutes. Let's talk about the ROI. That was really juicy. It was like 30.9 IRR. We haven't been seeing that a lot lately with interest rates and such. Realistic? Was she able to persuade you as an investor that that could be achieved?
I have more questions.
I think going back to the performance and being able to just drive the bottom line to have that exit NOI that's going to get you to that return. And I know she didn't really touch on management company, but I guess if you're still figuring out what brand you're using, that's still kind of up in the air. But I think having the right management company, having like a really solid sales and marketing person, really strong revenue management to bring in, the group and transient. And I think, also I'm interested to see how it interacts with the country club being right next door, what sort of shared services, how they're going to share that business in the market.
Any other thoughts? Okay, so if we are at a 30.9 internal rate of return on a 6-year hold, I believe, I think what's going to be critical is managing that budget for renovation. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
50 a key, it's possible, but things have been really challenging lately. Do you think that's...
I did do a little background research on this project, and Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not a hotel at one point as well already?
It was,
okay.
Way back.
Okay.
Way
Because when we
back,
talked about the grand staircase and somebody said senior living grand staircase, I'm guessing that was a component of the original hotel. That's my guess.
It was.
I don't know if that's going to be to some benefit that this place was originally, structured as a hotel, and there's maybe the bones are there.
It needs a complete renovation. Complete. I mean, the room structure's fine, but it needs a complete renovation, top to bottom. New flooring, new, wall covering and furniture, FF&E, and all of those things.
Yes.
I mean, and I think if we're going to do an upper upscale, it's going to have to exceed the best of the upper upscales branded properties. So that's where I would get just a little bit nervous, and we talked about that a lot. Like, can that be done? But she's in the architecture design, works for a firm. She checked with the people. But that's going to be critical. I think that's going to be critical. To
The other
success.
critical piece, I think, is going to be hiring the right team to manage the hotel.
Yeah.
So a really good GM, really good sales and marketing, really good F&B manager, so that those weddings come out wonderful, the other events are well managed, and she can really stick to the budget.
Well, I would invest in this project. I think I'm trying to get in. Ladies, thank you so much. I'll see you back after the next pitch. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so how's everybody feeling? What do we think about what we've seen so far? Good. So we have 2 more pitches to go, but before they come up, we want to take a moment to demonstrate the power of SHAD. 2 years ago, Jenny Jackman was navigating the intricacies of the development world with dreams that stretched beyond the horizon. SHAD lit the fire of possibility for her, and she's now the perfect example of what this program can achieve. Today, Jenny isn't presenting a pitch. She's offering an invitation to join her groundbreaking journey. Please welcome Jenny as she showcases her current project. It's a new development venture located in Redlands, California, and she has partnered with the True Brand by Hilton Hotels and Resorts. Take it away, Jenny.
I'm not hearing myself. Now I am. Hi, everybody. I can't even believe I'm back on this stage. Last year, when I pitched, I was so nervous after I was just like, whew, I am never doing that again. Boy, was I silly, because all I've been doing since is pitching. But this is super fun. I'm so glad you are not judging me today. I've actually got friends on the panel, and Lisa from Hilton. I love Hilton. I have to say, Hilton has been so awesome to me. Thank you, Hilton. I actually got to do an event with Lisa. So Hilton has a full-fledged program that was announced after I started working on my project called The Key, and it's an amazing initiative. All the brands have some kind of initiative for DEI or people that are underrepresented in ownership, but Hilton has done an amazing thing, and they have actually brought in a person to help people with access to capital, and so that is something very different and unique, and we love it, and thank you. I also saw Matt here somewhere. I don't see him right now, but thank you, Hilton. And all the sponsors, Marriott's awesome. I was so excited to see a Marriott project already. And I know we've got a Hyatt one coming up, which is super cool. So thank you, all the sponsors, all the brands, Choice, we love you guys. And also I just want to mention the sponsoring consultants. I got so much from so many different people during the master class. They helped me so much, and I truly could not be standing here without all of you. So thank you, sincere thanks. So my name is Jenny Jackman, and I am actively working on, I can't believe it, I pinched myself, it's going forward, a True by Hilton in Redlands, California. So yay, yes. So I'm just going to do a quick update. We're going to look at the time frame, where we are now, and what makes up our investor base. We're looking for more investors. We need a couple of really substantial investors, even though we love all of our fun, small, first-time investors. We're also going to look at sources and uses to date. The fact that our piece of land is in an opportunity zone offers us some other opportunities. We're also going to talk about our priorities that are really urgent for us right now. And then if we have time, we'll open it up for questions. I'm not sure where we'll be with production. We'll just see. So this timeline looks very similar to the way it did when I pitched a year ago. We've added on about 4 months based on some of the things that happened during the land closing. It was rocky, but we did it. And our first offering through the land closing was, I'm really proud of it, the initial investments only had to be at a $10,000 minimum. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. We got closed in October. We are still, we've done all our drawings. It takes a lot to get up to the point where you can actually submit to the city for permits. We've done that. We're receiving some of our first round comments for our grading permit and building permits here in just like a couple of weeks. We'll have to go through the process again, get them back in, might go through that maybe 1 or 2 more times. So I'm anticipating we will be approved probably at the end of June. That's what the city is telling us. So what we need now is to get like over the hump with the rest of our equity so that we can close on one of the 2 prospective construction loans that we're looking at. Oh, I should go back. We're looking at a 10-year hold now. Initially, when I pitched, we were going to do a 5-year hold. We've rejiggered some things on our projections, and we're looking at holding primarily because of the fact that we're in an opportunity zone. And that means there's no capital gains when we exit at 10 years. So that's pretty awesome. So we're looking at a 10-year hold. All of our investors seem to be great with that. We've been presenting a couple different things as we've been moving along. They're great with it. So this is our site plan, and I'm going to see does this work? Yes. No, it doesn't show up on the screen. This looks so simple. There's so much that goes into a site plan. But the true is really quite a simple, very tightly engineered plan. The guest rooms are smaller. The lobby is rich in amenities, overlaid amenities. The standards do not require the owners to have things like a pool and things that are really like high maintenance and very expensive. So we have no pool. We're on a smaller lot, 1.6 acres. And that little leg of land there that's a fire lane, we're going to actually make that work for us, because that lane, we're going to landscape it and make it fun and create a little trail that goes back around to some retail amenities that are walkable there. So that's actually a good thing. So this is our facade, and I'm just going to jump forward to that top left photo there. Those are what trues kind of usually look like. There's some bright colors. The city had already said no to that by the time we closed on the land. So ours is a little bit more subdued, but I like the contrast. It's quite beautiful. The color blocking stripes that are signature true, they're still on the building, and I love the true sign. It's a big, bold, global dimension that is on all 3 facades that you can see from the freeway. We have magnificent visibility from the I-10 with like 150,000 vehicles a day going by it. So it's a really awesome site. All right, so our investor base right now, we have about 70 investors that are already invested. If that sounds like a lot, it is. And we're like about halfway there for our equity. Our investor, I'm just so proud of Tracy and the way she did this and some decisions that we made. For the first round raise, in order to close on the land, we invited investors with as little as $10,000 to come in. In order to do that, you have to set up the SEC documents correctly. And so we're a 506B, which means that a large number of your investors can be unaccredited, non-accredited, however you want to say it. So that's a big hurdle without getting into the details here. That's one of the big hurdles for a lot of people to initially invest in real estate. It's because a lot of times you have to be accredited, which means certain benchmarks for income, certain benchmarks for net worth, which most people just do not have. So it's pretty awesome that we have a bunch of $10,000. Most of them are women. Most of them are first-time investors. So I feel like we're doing what the vision is set out to do. We have a lot of women that are now owners of a hotel. So this is pretty awesome. Our next phase, everything's now minimum $25,000 investment. And we do have a number of $100,000 awesome people that are helping us so much. We really need like some bigger chunks, but we'll keep going. This is our, without getting into too much nitty gritty here, this is our org chart. We actually had fun naming the entity. It's called Truly Redlands. And that A stack of shares, that's that first round we did. Those investors, because they came in order to purchase the land, they're going to get a 9% preferred return. And now this second round, they're going to get an 8%. And then Tracy and I are kind of on the left. We have an entity, mine's JJAG. She, of course, is TLT Solutions. And this 51% is not an economic thing. I didn't come up with that much money, right? This is set up this way so that we have control, so that every time a large decision has to be made with banks or moving money or signing documents, we don't have to go out to every single owner, right? So it's set up that way on purpose. And then we have the management company on top of us. That's Tracy's management company, Kanza. They've been getting more and more skilled the last couple of years after she set that up to really manage professionally and really make that income crank and that bottom line crank. So I'm excited to have them manage this hotel. This is a pie chart showing the makeup of our investor base. So you'll see about 75% of that is individuals. This is another thing that I love. So as we've been raising, and Tracy and her team, they've been getting better and better at explaining to people that you can take a part of your 401k or a chunk of it or whatever savings you already have, an investment vehicle you already have, and move it. You can't touch it, but you can move it through a custodian into a real estate investment. So you can truly become diverse, even if you thought before that, oh, I just got stocks that I can't touch. And they're getting very good at helping people do that. It's a little bit nebulous. It's a little bit hard. There's a few steps, but they're getting better at helping people and training people to do that. And there's more and more people that are interested in that. And I love that. I think it's an underutilized vehicle, and we're starting to really work on that. And then we have couple other entities and trusts that are invested. So just looking here at our sources and uses, it'll be 35% equity at $7 million. Our financing will probably be around $13 million. Total project cost will be $20 million. We've got our land costs in there at about 2.9. We bought the land for 2.8. We've got some carry costs. We're now paying taxes on the land, those kind of things. So it'll be about 2.9. And then our construction costs are in a big bucket there at $17 million. 228, this is a new build, 228 per key. We're in California, so it's still relatively inexpensive for this market. So we think our loan will look like this. We may or may not use CPACE, and I don't have time to talk about that. I think most people in here maybe have heard about that. Any day, a lot of people are using that as a vehicle to lower their overall interest rate right now. So a little bit about the opportunity zone. You have to be designated. It's a federal thing. We're actually in an opportunity zone, but still close to some amazing new retail. And so we decided to start to leverage this a little bit more. Tracy and I have met with some professionals at Cone Resnick that really specialize in this. And so we understand now that this would be a great vehicle. We're inviting some other investors in that focus on opportunity zone investing. And so again, no capital gains at the end of that 10 years. That was meant to come out. Okay, so 10-year projected returns. Our cash on cash remains. This was kind of what we projected before, 10%. Our multiple of invested capital actually went up a little bit, so 3. Our IRR goes down. When you hold longer, it tends to go down. Everybody says, what did it look like before? This is what our 5-year returns looked like before we changed from 5 to 10 years. So everything is similar except the IRR. But again, it's a wash or better because you don't pay any capital gains at the end. So that was real quick. But all right, so right now, we're doing a lot of value engineering with the GC. When we get all those comments back, we have a GC on boards that we will negotiate the final contract with them. They've given us a not-to-exceed price already that we're very comfortable with, and I happen to know them. I'm working with them on some other things. And so they're well trusted, and they're already on board with the architect that we have. And so we are very confident we're going to be able to really control our costs when we build. We're also just, again, in this push right now, starting uphill in this push to get equity. It's so tough, because equity wants to see debt, debt wants to see equity, and you're kind of like inching along. It's very halting. So we're in that, but we're doing it. And if we don't get those big chunks that we want so bad and we keep looking for, we'll just keep going on the friends and family type raising. We're doing it. Sometimes I pinch myself and go, wow, this is actually working. So it's just going to take a little bit longer than we want it to. But anyway, so it's very exciting. We will select a lender as we go forward, and we will continue to relationship build. Tracy and I have been talking to a big global company that's headquartered in Redlands. We've met the mayor, we've met the city manager, we've met the Chamber of Commerce, we've met like friends in the neighborhood and other hotel owners. It's been really fun, and so we're looking forward to events and parties and a big groundbreaking. And so just recap real quick. The 14 months is the likely duration. I think with this GC, with the pre-planning we're doing, we might be able to pull it back a little bit to more like 12 months, I'm hoping. The opening will still, we think, will likely be Q3 2025. We will ramp and optimize. The True is one of those amazing brands that ramps very, very quickly. So we're talking about performance in like 3 to 6 months. And so they will be within the first year of operating exceeding the comp set occupancy and ADR. That's what we're looking forward to. And then again, exit in year 10. And there we have it. Thank you so much for hearing me out again, and this is super exciting. Low stress, low stress. Tracy, do you want to take any questions, or do we just want to move forward? Yes? Does anybody have any? Don't mean to put everybody on the spot.
Okay, we'll take some questions. Anybody have any questions for Jenny?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Ann.
So excited to see all your progress.
Thank you.
Do you want me to? Oh, there we go. Really excited to see your progress. Can you just talk a little bit about, where you're finding your investors and what your process has been to identify those investors?
Yeah, that's been real work for me because I am just not like this people person that's been cultivating investors for years. So I had to push myself to get out, but it became easier as I was talking to people and friends of friends, and nothing to lose. And it became easier, and I found that most people are genuinely interested. So some of that came from my friends and family. It's just a portion, though. Really, Tracy has been cultivating an investor base for years and years. And they are so happy about things that have happened with her in the past. They come back. So many of them are from her initial investor base, and then others that are joining as they hear about the project. Because she hasn't done a California investment prior to the year before. She now has a winery there. Now this is a second one for TLT Solutions. So I got to kind of ride on their coattails for that.
And you may have mentioned this, so I apologize if this is something you covered, but just this is in an opportunity zone. I just wanted to know just like the 2 bullets of what makes this an opportunity zone. Like what's the context in which this hotel now sits, that it is now designated as such.
So several years ago, somebody in the audience might know the year that the opportunity zones were instigated. I'm thinking 2015, maybe, I don't know. But the federal government, they made it so that people could invest. And it's another tax benefit for people so they could reinvest monies that are coming from investment vehicles that they didn't have like a 1031 sitting in front of them or whatever, that they could invest and not have to pay any taxes at that time, and then wait to pay capital gains. So there was kind of a double, they could do that and then also wait 10 years. But now, and I don't know all the details, Tracy would be better at explaining this. Now, the initial the years that initially when you were able, initially when you were able to invest, you had to wait a certain period and you could get the first tax benefit and then another few years to the 10 years and get the second tax benefit. That first part has worn off. So the whole hype about opportunity zones is not as big a deal as it used to be, but you can still use it for the 10 years. So they have to be federally designated. There's a site that shows where all the opportunity zones are. You can go to that site and see where they are. Most cities post the opportunity zones on their websites as well. So most cities have them. They're still being highly utilized in the multifamily space. And so, and I actually saw a couple of retail projects utilizing opportunity zone for investors on some recent industry news.
I think I can answer that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think, Galen, you were wondering like what designated that land. So, and I'm not sure how they picked the properties, but the federal government started the program to stimulate growth in underserved type areas that needed growth. And it's strange because there are some areas where some people would think it's a depressed area that needs stimulation. In some instances, I've been to places and I'm like, why is this an opportunity zone? It's really nice over here. So we're one of those where it's a nice area, but it had been designated as an opportunity zone, and I don't know that they change it once they designate it as an opportunity zone. But it is a great opportunity to be able to eliminate capital gains, which, as everyone should know, it's either 15% or 20%. And the way that our government's spending money right now, I think capital gains tax is going to go up. So our investors were really excited because 10 years from now, I think capital gains tax, at least for the higher earning citizens, is going to be probably 25, if we're lucky, only 25?
Yeah, I should have just said that. Economic development incentive.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jenny.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.
So we want to thank Jenny again for sharing her opportunity with us. She really embodies the spirit of She Has a Deal. We're going to take a little bit of time right now to hear from two more of our sponsors. All right, so how many of you knew that SHAD is global? Next up, we are Tamika Bryant from Azul International Group is stepping into the spotlight, and she has an international opportunity for us.
My brand has always been about the perseverance. You need smart relationships. You need support. Those things, they're hard to come by. When you get into a program like SHAD, you immediately have sister friends who are in the business with you. The relationship part of this and the support that I'm receiving from hotel brands and the staff that are there, I don't think I would be able to do that on my own. So this has been an amazing part for me, is the relationships that I'm building.
Prepare for a tropical transformation as Azul International Group unveils their boutique vision for the Dominican Republic. Welcome Tamika Bryant to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tamika Bryant, and I'm with Azul International. I'm here today to talk to you about ownership in an amazing place that I call paradise. Who's interested in living and investing in paradise? Yeah. So before I get started, I do want to put a disclaimer out that there are things that I can't necessarily share, but I'm going to give you as much information as possible because my deal right now is in the attorney's hands being finalized. Woohoo! Now, this place of paradise that I want you guys to learn about is called Seminar. Anyone been to Seminar? So look at your neighbor and say, Seminar. Because you guys are going to learn about this paradise that most people don't get an opportunity to get to. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to pretty much show you guys where we have to go before I kind of get into the meat and details. Now, the hardest piece for me has been this very first part, is telling people more about me. Because how do you wrap all of that up in a short period of time? I've been around the world. I am a native New Yorker, so just being able to stop, slow down, and not do this in a New York minute is a challenge, okay? So forgive me for my notes on just this particular one, because I don't want you guys to miss how I got to the Dominican Republic, because some of you are probably thinking, well, Tamika, do you speak Spanish as your first language? No. Do you have parents from the Dominican Republic? No. None of the things that would connect me to the Dominican Republic is going to be normal. So I am a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, and my career started a long, long time ago in the nonprofit world. I learned how to write programs and grants at an early age, as early as 16, and at 18 I received my first $500,000 contract with the Department of Employment in New York. Fast forward, and I was recruited to work in the corporate office in Atlanta. Then they recruited me to move to Kansas City. After an abrupt change in that career path, I found myself having to figure out where I was going to go and what I was going to do as a real estate professional in a space and in a city I didn't know anyone from. So I started my own firm in 2004. I used my credentials as an adjunct professor from when I grew up in New York to teach at the National Association of Realtors. So for 20 years, I taught with the National Association of Realtors, going around and telling real estate professionals that there was going to be a time that there was not going to be enough affordable housing in any major city. And look where we are. That was a big problem for me simply because that meant that there wouldn't be enough affordable options for my investors as well. And that's how I and my husband built our real estate portfolio. So if we fast forward and knowing that there wasn't enough affordable investment opportunities, right after COVID, I got a call that said, go check out the Dominican Republic. And it was right at that moment when I went into the Punta Cana market, I purchased a $50,000 condo with a 3-minute walk from the beach. And it was then that I was in love. From that point on, I continued to host monthly investor tours, because once I purchased, I had 20 other people who were interested in purchasing and investing in real estate as well. So that immediately helped me create a community very quickly. After those about a month of doing monthly tours, I moved into creating a national conference, and I trained 600 real estate agents on how to sell international real estate, starting in the Dominican Republic. I got an apartment, and I opened up a real estate brokerage there and a development company. And that's how I got into the Dominican Republic, okay? Now, the area that we will discuss is in the Seminar region. The overview and the information about this region is here on your screens. I'm not going to go through each one of the pieces, but I do want you guys to recognize I was a part of the Dominican Republic celebrating having 10 million visitors in 2023. Those tours that we were conducting, we were bringing hundreds of investors into a new market where they were buying and investing in all kinds of developments in that city. And that's how I learned more of what was going on. In this market, that Seminar area, which is not necessarily near Punta Cana, and we'll talk a little bit about that, there are hidden beaches in this area. There is zip lining to do. There is whale watching. Yes, this city girl from the Bronx is actually on the beach looking at whales. I'm like, I can't believe this. The average temps, guys, 24/7, 12 months out of the year, we're ranging 80-degree weather. So in January, when my husband is freezing, I'm in the Dominican Republic. Of course I have business to do there during those times. Kansas City is 2 degrees. There's lots going on in these markets, and some of the things that made us focus on this space, again, now I'm living in the Dominican Republic 3 years, and I'm watching everything that's happening. With that 10 million visitors that went through the Dominican Republic in that year, 2023, you'll notice a lot of the attraction was coming out of the States. Where are they coming from? How quickly can you get to the beach? From a New York, from a Chicago, from all of these places is why this made sense. Some of the things that were happening nearby this particular location, I started doing research for this particular location because I knew all of what I thought I needed to know about Punta Cana, and I had a secret weapon. My secret weapon was that with these tours, I got to know the tourism groups. I got to know what was happening. I also got to know where the next markets were going to happen. And so at one point, I was told to look at Misha's. And if I wanted to invest in a hotel, go to Misha's. I was 6 months late before I discovered I couldn't get into Misha's anymore. It was too expensive. And so I kept on looking, and now you guys know I have moved to the space of Seminar. So Seminar, for those who haven't been there, they have waterfalls that are in this area. It has beautiful virgin beaches and lots of other things that people do there, which mostly is about relaxing. And so as we continue to keep on going and looking at our areas, our locations, it was very important for me to identify the site location that was pretty much ready to go. Okay? So my secret weapon in this whole process is I formed a relationship with the Minister of Tourism. And that Minister of Tourism helped me identify this particular plot of land. What I knew about this land, I visited the land with him, and we sat on the land, and I said, who visits here? And he says, the affluent in Dominican Republic are here on the weekends, and then we have a lot of clients who come to some of these boutique hotels, but I noticed there weren't a lot of other hotels, there wasn't a lot of hotels that I recognized that was there. So I said, well, this is perfect. So on this particular lot of property, it is already approved for a 90-room hotel, and it's ready to go. The allowed building height, you can see, is 3 stories, and it is on 5 acres with additional acreage that we have first right of refusal for. For our business plan, in addition to the contacts I have there, the investor groups that I've created, and the 600 sales agents who are real estate agents in the States to attract new business to this market, we also want to make sure that every experience for every guest is what we want it to look like. Having had tours every month for the last 3 years, there are a lot of things that the hotels are missing when, they are attracting new business and new clients to the DR. Consistent occupancy for us is going to be number one, and we have a lot of things that we've put in place from our monthly tours and on, our ROI from multiple sources, and you'll get a chance to see what those are. Operational excellence, because I am a very nitpicker on what that needs to look like, who we're targeting, and all the other bells and whistles of operations. Preferred returns and a 5-year exit with an option for you to stay in is going to be unique to our particular project, because I don't want to sell anything in paradise unless I have some more. So our target groups for this particular location is Time Out Tony, Travel Group Tina, and Wedding Couple Williams. Now, Time Out Tony is probably most of you here in the room who have worked every minute of today. And at a certain point, you don't want to see a whole bunch of tourists running all over the place, and you want an experience that allows you to relax and recharge. The Travel Group Tina, those are what I always call those folks who have decided we're going to go on this eco trip, or we're going in a group, and I always say it's the girls' trip that looks different. And then our Wedding Couple Williams, as we all know, the wedding couple industry is a $20 billion plus industry, and what's going on in this particular space is it will be an ideal focus for destination weddings. Tranquility and wellness is what we're all about in this space. Also, the outside and indoor dining options. We will include lots of options here. And the 3 important ones that you guys need to know is that, of course, everyone loves to experience the local fare, but people have a need. They want to have American food also. And with an option of having vegan options as well. We're providing a safe, welcoming area, both inside and outside, indoors and outdoors. And of course, our banquet and meeting spaces, because there is not a lot outside of this particular location. And with the new project that I didn't quite mention yet because of my secret weapon, but if you're familiar with Punta Cana, then you're familiar with Cap Cana. And the owners of Cap Cana and Julio Iglesias have purchased majority of the land in this area. And so with that huge development coming about, they will also need spaces for people coming into town and at least a couple of years of locations for them to meet, to have private meetings, and to house guests. 2 different suite types is what we've identified to accommodate the VIP guests and the wedding couples. And my favorite are the private residences. Yes, private residences on site. That's what our market has told us. People not only want to come to the hotel, there are also people who want to live in the area. So some key concepts you will see on your screen. My favorite, of course, are the concierge services, so that when you arrive, if you decide you want to have a butler service, you may have that. If you decide you need a translator, they can accompany you into town, that's also available. Some other amenities there, from your swim-up bars to your rooftop bars, gym, and all. Now, my advantage here with this project is that I am in relations with the Minister of Tourism in terms of we host monthly tours for our investors, so I stay up to date. Another key advantage is with this project, I'm approved for Confantour, at least to get through the application process, which means the 15-year, no taxes for 15 years for me as the developer, as also for the end users. I have a local office and a local team, and I also want to share with you what my investors have already told me. I polled them, have 184 responses, and I asked them where and with who did they want, if they could own a hotel, where would they go? Our investment structure is really simple at this point because we still have to identify who our soft brand and who we can work with. There is our timeline for our feasibility and due diligence, construction, and of course, grand opening. Now, one thing I do want to let folks know, because we don't have all of our numbers yet, because we don't have an architect, is that we build in the Dominican Republic at a $55 to $111 per square foot, new construction.
It is time.
Oh, I'm done. Thank you.
Good. I was going to say, did you have any last minute notes?
That is it.
That is it. Okay, so we got through it. Well, we're going to get started with the judges. Michael, can we get started with you?
Sure, absolutely. So, looks great. Do the site visit would be my first comment, but the question there is you're offering a ton of amenities at this hotel, and I think you said it was going to be 80 to 90 keys. You know, the one thing that jumps out at me is that's operationally intensive, and you need a pretty big staff. And so, have you given thought to, you know, the rates you're going to have to achieve to support all that overhead that you'll have on property?
Yes, so I did do our preliminary rates, looked at food and beverage costs, looked at quite a few things, and also, of course, talking to other hotel owners and developers in the area. The key part for us is that our cost for employees is a lot less based on the market, and we're not planning on running everything at the same time. It's really based on the concierge service if people have asked for that in advance, so things like that are kind of off the, based on need.
Wow, the DR is a long way from Jimmy's Bronx Cafe.
That's correct.
Yes, very, very familiar with that. Here's my question. So what is your exit strategy for leaving that? Is it a legacy property? You're going to keep it as cash operating? Or if you can give me some multiple outcomes.
It is. I am looking at it as a legacy project. I didn't mention it a bit ago, but I have a 26-year-old son who's in the business and a 30-year-old daughter who's in the business, and we have discussed keeping it as a project, but, you know, I always tell them we're not going to get tied and love any project or property too much. But yes, that is the plan.
Lisa, it looks like you're ready to go. Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to do a site visit as well. One of the initial slides talked about your market summary, and I really appreciated that. I did see 10,000 rooms, 42 new projects potentially in the pipeline for an island. You know, can you speak to that? At what level? Where will your hotel be positioned against that new pipeline?
So, correct. So those particular projects are in the Miches area. So when and some of the other areas, but close by, but not where we are. So we don't have any new construction projects coming out of the ground for the beach town I'm focused on. So my project is on, you know, after I did all the research, it's the next major market after Miches that will expand. So I looked at who was bringing, or where the Minister of Tourism organization, where they were funding and putting in new roads, and all of those things. So this is the next place to be after Misha's. So that's where majority of that is coming from.
The pictures were great to look at. Nice little afternoon daydreaming on the beach there. You started to talk about costs, construction costs at the end. What is the total cost you're projecting for construction?
We have projected, I went on kind of the middle number because I haven't, of course, met with a brand. I haven't kind of talked with some architects on what I want to do. And so we had to do some rough numbers. The land, for example, we do have the price on that is $3.5 million. I did not put that in there. And the rough construction costs in one of my slides, I believe it's $4.4 million for just the build-outs of the hotel itself, not the rest.
Going on Lisa's point about supply, have you been looking at the, how construction costs will change with all the work that's happening, materials, availability of materials to the island? How does that?
So with a lot of things like concrete and windows and things like that, those are already manufactured on the island. So we're able to utilize a lot of things that are already there. Our biggest expense would be anything that's kind of custom that we want, and with the no taxes for Confantor, then that saves us a huge amount of not having to pay for taxes for anything coming in.
Ann, any questions for us?
Yes. Yeah, I would love to go on the site visit as well, please. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about how much equity you're actually looking to raise? Sorry, I scooted in right after you started, so maybe I missed that. But if you can talk to that, and then you mentioned a preferred return structure, if you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so the total amount, it's a little, I don't have my exact number because until I identify the brand and some of those things, so I have that I have looked at with the architects, we're in between about 11 and 12 million is what it's the total cost. And I believe I put in the slides what percentages of that were there. I'd have to go back and look exactly, but yeah, I can go back if you want.
And then what are you thinking on the preferred return?
Well, I do have it written. I just didn't put it here. I'm sorry. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I'm looking at. I didn't even put it in the notes. I apologize.
You mentioned, I think you said in total you have a 5-acre site?
Yes.
And you, towards the end, you started talking about a residential?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's a 5-acre site for just the hotel. And the second portion for the residences, there is another 4 acres.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the resident side? Do you see that being part of hotel inventory? Is it just a straight standalone purchase and community you're building?
It's an option because I have been doing some research on some of the brands that have hotels and residences. And because I haven't selected a brand or anything like that, we wanted to make sure that we had the option to do a hotel with residences or separate. Because what we've been selling in Punta Cana and in the Dominican Republic that has been getting the biggest amount of draw from US who are buying are residences, for them to be able to live near the beach and be in areas that are up and coming.
Yeah, you mentioned the total cost of 11 or 12. Were you anticipating a construction loan?
Yes, on one of those slides, I don't know which one it is, but we have met with Bank of America, Banco Popular. They will do up to 70% because they have a special program, and they just received funding from the U.S. Finance Division of $200 million for the Dominican Republic to do development projects. So we do have that process already sort of pre-approved. We've done the application, got to know what we needed to do there. So they will do up to 70%. And they will do that for 2 years, no interest. Just interest, interest-only payments. And that will be at 7.5% to 8%.
And what's your construction timeline? Was it 18 month?
Yeah, but we looked at, it would probably be around that 15 months because again, we don't really have storms and things like that in that part of the place, so, yeah.
Michael, and we are at that 2-minute mark.
Sure. So the last question I have, and you're obviously very well versed in selling residential properties there, is do you have a lot of data points around hotel sales in the Dominican? Are there barriers to buying hotels? Is the investor base limited in any way to buying hotel assets there?
The biggest challenge for us is that there are not a lot of hotels who are reporting in the Dominican Republic. So the way I've been getting some of my data is that I've been calling some of our partners of SHaD and saying, hey, what do you guys know what's happening here, or what's the price points of here, there, or whatever. So, and a lot of the hotels that are coming that way actually are new construction. So again, not a lot of data that I can gain from them.
We do have time for at least one more question.
From your operational model, did you contemplate all-inclusive with the outlets that you're considering, or you want to speak to that?
Yes, we did look at an all-inclusive model. There is one that was just converted, that is a neighboring property, and we just decided that with options, there was another major company that, not a major brand, but they have a two-tier model where the person chooses if they want to go, if they want all-inclusive. My research shows that it's not necessary for that particular market, but we are open, but I don't feel like we necessarily need to have that there. The fourth market that was there that I didn't really mention a lot about was the local market of the folks who were there who kind of travel there for the weekend because of I always call it the local tourism, because of all of the amenities that they have there on that part of the island with the whale watching and, private beaches and stuff like that.
Thank you so much, Tamika. I have to say, I am timeout Tony.
Are you timeout Tony?
Yes, because I have twins and I need a timeout every single day.
Okay. Well, when you arrive, it's customary for us to say, whenever you ask for anything, it is my pleasure.
Yes, well, I'm coming. I am coming. Thank you
Alrighty,
so
thank
much.
you.
Head backstage to Tejo. So, as she walks backstage, again, we know what it's time to do. I think we're all getting the hang of this now. I already see the phones coming out. So, rate the pitch. Your rankings will represent 5% of the final score. Remember, at the end of the show, you'll come back and vote on your favorite pitch for the Viewer's Choice Award. And every time you rate and vote on a pitch, you'll be entered to win one of our amazing door prizes. Again, we're talking points from IHG, Choice Hotel, hotel stays, swag, just for voting. So go ahead and vote. Tejo, take it away.
All right, thanks again, Portia. So right now I have Dr. Tamika Bryant here with me. Dr. Bryant, you are an author, a mom, a founder, broker, all the things. Why hotel ownership?
Well, if you're playing Monopoly, don't you start out with the greens and then move to the reds?
That's a good point. Okay. How are you feeling after coming off that stage?
Oh, a little, I'm relieved. It was, for me, moving slides around at the last minute because I'm still under contract or going into contract, so just trying to make sure I can disclose certain things and what I can disclose, because I say, this piece of paradise, I don't want anyone to really know about it. So it's really hard to do a pitch, and you don't really want folks to know exactly where the location is.
Oh, we totally understand that sentiment in the industry for sure. On the topic of your project, so we all know that Dominican Republic is very tourism heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So what really sets your property apart from the others in the region?
Well, this particular area is not really touristy. It's not overpopulated. So in certain markets like Punta Cana, there are people all over this place. And in the particular market we're looking at, it is definitely more nature-driven. There's more, private beaches, and it's just a very different feel than what you get in that particular market. So we're excited to be able to showcase something different.
Sure, okay, amazing. And one last question that I have for you. What is maybe one key piece of advice you would give to other women who are looking to take the leap into hotel ownership?
Well, I would always say you really want to know where you want to be. That helps in the location. So for me, for example, I just want to do and be a trailblazer in the international Caribbean space. So for other folks, I just think they need to know where they want to go, stay focused, and I think the biggest amount of advice I can tell people is when it gets tough, you have to keep on going, because it will get tough. But if it's something you really want to do, you have to dig in your heels and go after it. Because I always tell my daughter and my son, I don't want to wake up a year from now and saying, what if? I'd rather say it didn't work and I can get back after it.
I love that. We're going to have to catch up a little bit more at the reception this evening. But thank you so much. Best of luck. And maybe we'll have a SHaDPitch internationally in the DR.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Wonderful. All right. So next up are a few words from one of our deeply valued sponsors, Wyndham, and the award-winning initiative Women Own the Room.
The story starts with my mother, who had a business when women didn't have a business. And I can remember going to the bank with her while she tried to get loans. And it was very hard for her.
Being told that my terms and my financial package is the best I'm going to get, but my husband's able to get different terms.
I have banks asking me, oh yeah, I like this project. Can I speak to your husband? Can I speak to your father? The daily struggle is still there as a woman, even in 2022.
Women Own the Room is probably one of the most important things that we could do as an organization or as a company. We've seen a gap in the creation of ownership or even wealth amongst women owners.
And so what our team has done is put together a program that will help women figure out the how and why to get the project into the ground, and then also how to operate the project once it opens.
I was so impressed by Wyndham and how present they were. I felt very supported.
Women Own the Room program is giving you all these tools to educate yourself.
I felt like that brand's already ahead of the curve because they're already listening.
What we're saying is, you go do it. We're going to be there clearing a path for you every step of the way. And that's what Wyndham is here to do, clear that path.
I have worked with other brands before, and I hear lots of no's. And when I go to Wyndham, everything is yes. It's a true partnership.
To be able to have my own properties, to be my own owner, programs like Women Own the Room, they make it possible.
Hello, ladies. I think I have one of the most award-winning table talk on this round. We're sitting here with Jessie, who was the first place winner in SHaDPitch 2022.
That's right, 2022.
And then we have our Viewer's Choice Award winner, Tamra. That was 2023. And then Emma Claire was our early careers winner in 2021.
Yes.
So this is the table right here. And I bet you guys want to go on the site visit too.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we have a SHaD site visit coming on. Okay, so let's talk about this international deal, right? As you guys all know, a lot of our data that we have comes from STAR and Calibri Labs, which are sponsors of She Has a Deal, and we really appreciate them providing the data to the women. For Tamika, it was very challenging, right, to be able to come up with a comp set or to really understand, what that price point would be. So thoughts around her pitch and what maybe she could have done to, put forth more numbers. So I think she laid the ground for a wonderful project. I would have loved to have seen her sketch up more of what the numbers could look like. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to know if she's deciding to work with a brand, sort of which
which brand she's going to be working with, or even able to work with a brand at all. I think that'll really impact the numbers, both from a top line perspective, and then also kind of expenses related to getting those reservations. You know, working with the brands, of course, there's, you know, discounts to bookings through OTAs, and then of course they can provide, you know, more direct bookings. And I think that'll have a really big impact on the project. So I'm curious to know if she underwrote this assuming affiliation with a brand, or if she underwrote it a little bit more conservatively and assumed independence, and that adding a brand would just kind of, you know, strengthen the project. So I think that would be really helpful to know.
Yeah. Tamara, what are your thoughts?
Then maybe you can give like a fictitious scenario where you give it a name and then describe the characteristics like Caribbean, you know, country, and then to get numbers, you know, maybe try to pull some numbers that you can, and then use some kind of ratio like GDP of that country versus another country where there is some numbers, because ultimately that's what the investor is going to want to know. So.
Absolutely.
I think that's right. I also clearly Tamika has a great understanding of the market, spends a lot of time there, and has great relationships, which she alluded to, and that will be critical to getting this deal done. I'm not somebody who has international experience in the DR, so frankly, just understanding the challenges around getting data and what she's done to inform her decision, I think that could have been helpful to understand, because we didn't hear much about the numbers, and if there's a good reason for that, and what she's doing to work around to make her informed decisions, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen her sketch it out a bit. And the high-level numbers, because as we all know, a new construction project, it's fluid, right? I think some of the top developers I've talked to have said the only thing that's certain in development is that the numbers are going to change. So I would have, you know, liked to have sketched it out. I know we talked about it, so I would have liked for her to have pitched it. Now, an interesting thing about Tamika is that she has an investor base, so I have no doubt she'll be successful in funding the project. She is the first participant who reached out to the SEC attorney first. So she's already has her paperwork in order to raise the capital. So we're going to get the structure together there. Can you guys speak to your experience in learning how to raise capital legally? Because we learned that in the SHaDPitch, the SHaD program. Any thoughts on what that might look like for Tamika?
Well, I can say it was great to hear that she already has an investor base, and so hearing about that, again, would have been great. Something that Tamika and all the alumni have to look forward to is that there's continued alumni involvement. So we actually just had a refresher class on how to legally raise capital,
Right.
and had an attorney present to us. So lots of avenues and lots of resources that SHaD has to continue to make sure that you're doing it legally and maximizing your opportunity.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies. We'll see you on the next table round.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get ready for that final pitch for today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We have made it to the final pitch of the day. So we are going to bring out Ebony Jones of Midijo Capital, and she is ready to impress for you to invest.
Currently a home builder, and I wanted to think more like a developer than a builder. The big dream is to find success, stay passionate in what I'm doing, always wanting more from it, but while enjoying it and while having fun. You know, it doesn't have to be stressful. My motto that I live by, family first. I'm always thinking of my siblings and my mother. You know, really with every step I take and all the sacrifice makes it worth it. I've changed by leading with good decisions, whereas before it was me leading with fear. I'm coming prepared, I'm coming with a team, I'm coming, you know, really passionate about what I'm doing.
Watch as Matita Joe Capital lays the foundation for innovation with a new extended stay project in Kansas City. Welcome, Ebony Jones.
Hello, SHAD, family, friends, judges, and our many investors. I am here today to present a Meet a Joe Capital offering. Let's get right into what makes this deal incredible for the investor. The key points will focus on the strongest elements of the deal, starting with equity and how it works when paired with our public-private collaboration. We'll explain how we lower construction risk, then go into the market, the brand, and then lastly, the value prop and social impact. But first, let's have a little fun with the location. Any guesses? I'll give a hint. 2023 Super Bowl champs. But first, I have another hint. 2024 Super Bowl champs. If you know the answer, scream out the city in 3, 2, okay. Kansas City. Yes, Kansas City, Jackson County. Kansas City is the largest city in Missouri by population and area. According to the 22 census, the MSA population was 2.4 million, making it the 6th largest city in the Midwest. And speaking of the Chiefs can be attributed for much of the growth in Kansas City. A recent report indicated that the Chiefs' economic impact reached $1 billion and over 5,000 jobs for the Kansas City region. Today, I'm presenting a new build, branded extended stay at $208,000 per key, all in. As a bit of good news, we secured in the LOI for a 1.6-acre hotel entitled land that is part of a 25-acre, $200 million mixed-use development. The South Point development site is located at the intersection of 63rd and Prospect Avenue, right off of Highway 71, just 6 miles south of downtown, and 1 block from HCA Midwest Health. The hotel will have the esteemed pleasure of participating in phase 1 of 4 of a 7 to 10 year master plan development. All of the remaining builds in the following phases will just further strengthen the position of our asset. The hotel will be situated alongside the to-be-built multifamily complex with good visibility from Highway 71 and off of one of Kansas City's main corridors, 63rd Street. Due to the site's location in a PIA, a planned industrial expansion area, as well as the city's interest to develop, we have been able to secure a public-private collaboration which renders support in many forms. Starting with the capital stack. If you see nothing else, see the diversity in the mix of the sources. While there's a good mixture of public funds, there isn't much reliance on any one item. Starting with debt at 65%, we have an evolving sum of public funds and a limited equity pool. Considering this is a new development, you would typically see a demand for far more equity. The most valuable component of this deal is the public-private collaboration. To put it plainly, this deal does not work without the public collaboration. And to show you how equity is impacted by the public, we will show you how equity benefits with and without public involvement. Starting with scenario 1, the bottom level, public funds at $0 with an internal rate of return at 10%. The second scenario, second level up, our current level, where we have $4.15 million in public funds and an IRR of 17%. In the last scenario, we have $5.35 million of public funds and an IRR of 20%. So what just happened? We doubled the IRR simply by adding more public funds. Same deal, double the IRR. Our construction process will run 22 months, starting with July of this year through April of 2026. While we're drafting the vertical construction plans, the master developer will be working on site prep as well as phase 1 of horizontal construction and will deliver to us a pad-ready site. All of this limits our holding costs, lowers our construction risk, and ultimately provides for a higher internal rate of return. One other way to lower construction risk is by assembling the appropriate team, starting with Tracy Prickmore of TLT Solutions, who will act as our co-sponsor and operations manager. Next, we have CJR Development, who believes in progress and wants to see that by way of more women in hotel ownership. They will be contributing the land as equity, will extend our period to close, yes, and that leads to lower holding risk, lower construction costs. Their contribution will also lead to additional resources and relationships that may make for more available public funds. And last, myself, I'm a Midwesterner from Chicago, currently living in Orlando, where I work primarily as a home builder, general contractor for my company, who focuses on ground-up new construction, mostly as a developer. As a general contractor, I can offer investors the proper mix of asset management, as well as a thorough understanding of construction planning, permitting, timelines, and so much more. That also leads to lower construction risk and lower completion risk. As of today, there are 3 main clusters of hotels that are mostly situated in the downtown and stadium parts of town. Our primary demand driver is HCA Midwest Health, which is the largest regional healthcare provider with over 150 locations. Currently, there are no hotels within 4 miles of the hospital, where one is needed for families of long-term care patients, visiting physicians, traveling nurses. We are also located 6 miles south of Kansas City's thriving downtown district. As a secondary market to downtown, we offer our guests the accessibility they need at a price that affords them the option to do so much more. According to a recent CoStar report, secondary and tertiary markets are competing with city center hotel demand by way of group business, creating spillover. We are also located near the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium, Swope Park, and Swope Soccer Village, all within 2 miles, where they see over 2 million visitors annually. Our comp set are all upper mid-scale, all suites, mostly physically dated properties. We do not feel that the comp set is representative of our market, but it is the best. We have model ADR well under the comp set due to their superior location. For occupancy, we do expect to compare or exceed the comp set based on our local demand drivers and our limited supply. As for local pipeline projects and events, some of the most notable would be the South Point Master Development, where it will provide for additional walkable amenities, as well as for the local events. Our opening year, 2026, FIFA World Cup, is a 6-week event where primarily the events are taking place at Arrowhead Stadium, which is just 8 miles from our hotel site. And they expect to generate over $700 million in revenue. As for market metrics, The comp set has seen an increase in demand year over year and returning to pre-COVID values in 2022. Revenue, even more impressive, has made a full recovery, almost a full recovery just 1 year following COVID. Due to supply and demand growth, ADR has been able to make a recovery in 2022. And RevPAR lagging slightly behind with a recovery in 2023. ADR continues to increase where it's already exceeded 10% of its pre-COVID peak as of 2023. We have modeled the current levels of the comp set ADR and occupancy at the current levels of the comp set, but that will be for our 2026 projections. We've also used a 2% average growth rate for ADR and a 1% increase or growth rate for occupancy for our projections. According to an HVS study for the master development, the hotel segment indicated a need for a studio apartment style solution for long stay travelers due to the primary demand driver being the hospital. Hilton's Live Smart Studios and Hyatt Studios were the most suitable fit for the needs of our demand drivers, as well as our site specifications. So any guesses on the brand we ultimately selected? Okay. Yes, Hyatt. Hyatt, we secured an LOI just yesterday. Thank you, Hyatt. We're looking forward to moving forward in the underwriting process and working alongside our many partners. As for the investment proposal, we have structured it in a way where we can include both accredited and non-accredited investors by combining a Reg D and a Reg CF, which is crowdfunding, mostly to support and encourage the community to participate in the project, in the development, for their early buy-in. We've also been able to model in dividends during a portion of the construction, as well as until we're able to stabilize cash flows. The return on your investment represents your return after taxes due to it being an opportunity zone and our 10-year hold. We do expect to have a high probability of success on this project due to the sub-market need for this product, as well as the historical growth of the local market, the public-private collaboration, and so many more other reasons. Now, the exit strategy. At completion of the master development and the Opportunity Zone 10-year hold, we do expect that the asset will reach one of its many peaks in its value cycle. So we would suggest that investors exit at that point. As for potential buyers, by making this deal successful through the use of public funds, we are now in a position to return what ultimately the community made possible. Employment is great, but wealth wins the race. We can model in an employee ownership class, as well as and then get the community to buy in early on, thereby increasing the power of their dollar by potentially 5 times at the exit. We can create an ownership incubator to make sure that the community is in a position to take possession of the asset at year 10. Option B, I would prefer to go back to option A, but option B, sell to a social impact buyer on the open market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. So we will get started with the judges. John, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Excuse me, I thought it wasn't called the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought it was the Taylor Swift Chiefs.
Oh.
Is that not it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Not my thing, but.
Well, great job. Way to shake it off. And
Oh.
My My question for you is from your exited cap rate at 8.5, how did you come up with that number? And then my second question is for, are you looking at hiring a management company to run the hotel, and sort of a little bit more in your operational model with extended stay and your projected SOC, extended stay occupancy?
So yeah, as far as the cap rate, we feel that 8.5 is pretty conservative for the Kansas City area. Even with it being a secondary market, we do have room to bump it up to even 9%. What we were considering was starting at 8.5%, but then for the refinance with room, then we would try to refinance at a 9%, considering those exit caps are more conservative when securing the refinance. The next question had to do with the extended stay and how we modeled, I'm sorry. So yeah, being that the hotel is our primary demand driver, we expect that the hotel is going to primarily support occupancy, but being that we are launching at the start of the FIFA World Cup, and with Hyatt not having much presence in that market, we'll have a ton of support to make sure that the sub-market and neighboring markets are aware of this product. And according to the pipeline, there aren't any new builds anticipated for that area, aside from maybe Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium that has 2 new builds, but that's 8 to 9 miles away from our site. Ann, you ready?
Yeah, great job. I have a question for you about the master development. If I understand correctly, the hotel is going to be in the first phase. Is that correct?
No, we are the hotel in the first phase.
Right. So you're coming first, and then the rest of the master development is coming in after the hotel opens, right?
Yes, phase 1 is a multifamily in our hotel. Phase 2, there are other builds, yeah. No hotels in the remaining phases.
Is there any impact on your projected revenues based on the completion of that master development? And what do you know about the certainty of the rest of that master development coming online?
So we don't have 100% certainty, but we do have the city buy-in for the larger development. Ultimately, the phase 1 doesn't work without the supporting phases. So ultimately, what we want to offer guests are walkable amenities. So we do expect that occupancy may be on the lower end in phase 1, and then as the phases are developed, then there will be some improvement in our projections for even ADR and occupancy.
Okay, so your projections actually, so they grow as you assume the master plan comes online. Have you run a sensitivity in case that doesn't come online in the end?
So we did run a sensitivity that accounted for lower growth for ADR. There was a difference. We started at 2% growth, and then we stress tested at 1.5%, and then 2.5%. And there wasn't much or a significant change in the internal rate of return. So our thought was that that made for a solid deal, even when you stress occupancy for the most part.
Michael?
Sure. First, the budget you put in here is super thoughtful. I look at construction budgets on a daily basis. This is better than most of the night. So great, thoughtful.
I'm not hearing very well.
So when you were selecting a brand, both of your options were new concepts, Hilton Live Smart and Hyatt Studios. Neither of them have really any projects delivered at this point in time. And you mentioned you did an HVS market study, but how did you think about positioning it against the competitive set without from those hotels?
Yeah, so there is risk associated with not having real data for completed projects. We do have, for that reason, the brands support more so than I would imagine other brands that have a lot of history. They have interest in its success just as much as we do, especially Hyatt. Their focus is secondary and tertiary markets. So we expect with that additional port that we will be very well positioned. However, when it comes to construction estimates, for instance, they've been able to share some of the estimates that they've collected from various markets, and what we've estimated is pretty conservative. And we started higher, and then when they, provided us with their estimator, we found that we were cushioned well enough in case there was any change. They do have a pipeline project that's due for completion in Alabama at the end of this year. So before we open, we will be able to make some adjustments where needed with that completed project possibly.
The one thing you're missing from your cap stack is key money from the brands. So,
well, I didn't want to model that in, but the LOI did indicate key money and a fee ramp.
fantastic, great.
Yeah.
Tara?
Yeah, I have a couple questions about the capital stack. I guess you're capitalizing dividends, is that right? Into the capital stack so that you can pay dividends during construction?
We're modeling in payments to investors during the first 2 years.
Yeah. Are you assuming debt against that piece of the capital? Like that's part of your total capitalization that you're getting 65%?
Yes, if allowed, yes.
Okay. And then with the public incentives, and there's a lot of them, so I'm not familiar with all of them either. Do they fund along with the construction funding, or do they fund later on at completion? How does that money come in?
Yeah, so phase one, where the developers are completing the site prep and the phase one of horizontal, that's all supported by public funds, and that's before we even assume ownership. So they'll hand to us a pad-ready site, which will include which would have where they utilize most of those public funds to get it to that state.
Lisa, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, thank you. I think John hinted on this, but I just wanted to dig in a little bit more on your projected extended stay or your length of stay for this hotel. Your comp set is relative more transient focused, maybe understanding there's not other comparable hotels in the market today on that, but just did you have an average length of stay planned? Based on that, what was it, a 160 ADR annualized?
Yeah, so Hyatt is using a 7-day estimate for average stay, and that's what we modeled in as well.
One more question. So I'm very interested in how we can juice that IRR, and I don't remember which pieces are still TBD on the public financing, but can you speak a little bit on the timeline and handicap the likelihood of securing that additional public financing?
So the current level that I showed in scenario 2 are funds that have already been secured. Right now it's just a matter of bonding them, and we would borrow against the bond in order to start deploying those funds immediately to the site development work. Some of the additional funds that were higher, those we're still in discussion with. The LOI was secured 2 weeks ago. So we're in conversation with some local resources. There is a CID that we're entertaining, which is a sales tax that we could impose on the business that will add to the capital stack. It works similar where we can bond it, and I've been told that is really just a formality. There isn't much challenge around those funds, meaning that we're the ones obligated to pay them.
Okay, great. But you have an LOI on those additional sources?
No, we do have a TIF that's already been secured by the master developer. Yeah, that's where majority of the funds are coming as of right now.
Okay.
And we have time for maybe one more quick question.
I think it ties to the master plan, but did I see a 22-month build-out? Can you explain? That seems a bit long for a prototypical. From a construction start to opening, is your projection 22 months? Did I see that?
Yeah, so we wanted to be conservative on the construction process, but part of that time frame will include the work that will be conducted by the master developer. So when we take it over, we are expecting to be able to ramp up a bit faster, but we don't know what that transition will look like. We are going through permitting process with the support of the county and the city. Want to see this development happen sooner than later. So
that is time. Thank you so much, Ebony. I gotta say, 17% cash on cash and a 5-time multiple.
You're in?
I'm in.
You guys saw it.
Well, thank you again. I'm gonna send you back to Tejal so you can get that backstage interview. All right, so we know what time it is. This is your last opportunity to rate this pitch. Take the time now and make your voice heard. You've only got a few more moments till we are done with the show. Turn it over to you one last time, Tejal. Take it away.
All right, awesome. Well, clearly John over there is a Swiftie coming in with the jokes. But anyways, so hi, Ebony. How are you? I need to
Hi.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so last pitch of the day, how'd you think you do?
I did it. That was goal number one, and I did it. I did much better than what I anticipated. I'm very proud of myself. I did well. Of course, there's definitely room for improvement. Like I mentioned to the ladies, this was my first time on stage, so.
Really? Well, you seem like a natural at it. You honestly did a phenomenal job, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Question for you regarding your pitch. So, you mentioned, what made you want to source a deal that had a very specific capital structure? And I'm alluding to the point when you talked about this project can't happen without the support of public funds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is honestly the most ideal structure to a new development deal. One, there's tons of risk involved in new development. And when you have the city to support it, not just through, permitting and processing, but through your capital stack, you couldn't ask for more support. It definitely limits the work that we have to do in trying to attract investors because they see the value in that too and having public collaboration. So.
Nice. And what has the process been like for you going through the master classes and the learning portion of She Has a Deal, and especially for today's women to prepare you?
Yeah, I knew that this is what I wanted to pursue. I knew that in order to get there faster, I would need a structured program, but I've gone through structured programs before, so really what the key element was Tracy. That's what brought it all together for me. I didn't know Tracy until I had already joined the program, so I just got lucky in that, she was the missing piece. So I'm very happy with the process. I'm glad that she challenged me to this point because I'm sure whoever I was before I stepped on stage, I'm a totally different person now, and I'm so grateful.
I love that. Well, and one last question for you. You think Chiefs are going to Super Bowl?
I mean, if history means anything, I'll bet on that, yeah.
Amazing. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ebony. Congratulations and best of luck. It was a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So as we come to a close, just a friendly reminder that we would not be able to have SHaDPitch without the support of our incredible sponsors and partnerships. And so with that, we have a few words from one of our founding sponsors, Hyatt Hotels.
So you talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. I want to simplify it. Diversity's been invited to the party. Inclusion being asked to dance. And equity is dancing to my own music.
Essentially every business in the wake of, the killing of George Floyd said something. But the actual results and the things that you can hold us to, I don't hear a lot of that.
Change Starts Here has 3 specific commitments. The first is who we employ, develop, and advance. The second is who we support. And then the third is who we buy from and work with.
We're in a season of progress, which I think is fantastic, but I think we have an opportunity to really deepen that impact and make it something that sticks and is really more sustainable.
Rise High is a program that we have launched, filling as many of our roles as possible with opportunity youth so that we can ensure that we are on track to achieve our goal by end of 2025.
When you have people who have the interest, the passion to learn, to grow, there's no way you don't win.
Here in New Orleans, they have their hands in so many local projects and continue to grow them. We would not be in a position.
We're paying people with under 2 weeks, 1 to 5 days if needed. In other instances, we actually gave them advance orders for a year.
We want to get there by making sure that we're changing lives of people in our communities, making sure that we're looking at the amount of vendors that we're dealing with, the stories behind what we're doing, not just the numbers.
You know, it's a difference when a company of the magnitude of Hyatt wants to be inclusive.
A lot of times if you give people the opportunity, then they can take advantage of it and they can pass it down to the next generation.
Being a part of their Change Starts Here program that focuses on Black suppliers has been great for us. Showing other organizations that we are a part of Hyatt allowed us to say, okay, well, if Hyatt took a chance on you, so can we.
Those kinds of things were things that really showed our ability to show empathy plus action equals care.
We are back at the Shad Talk table, and joining us at the table is Jenny from SHaDPitch 2023. You saw Jenny earlier, where she is now. And I've also asked one of our friends of Shad, the broker of all brokers from Paramount, Amari Head, to join us for this last Shad Talk table today. And then Emma Claire is back again. So guys, that was a pretty complex project. Yeah. I'm not going to be funny about that. I'm also from the Midwest, and living on the East Coast, everyone's always thinking, like, what's in the Midwest? Why would you invest there? Don't sleep on the Midwest, okay? Don't sleep on the Midwest, especially since Taylor Swift is now visiting Kansas City frequently. Maybe she'll bring up the RevPAR. I heard she did that this year, or last year, right? So you guys, this public-private partnership is something that is super complex, but very much needed with the cost of construction today. So when Ebony told me what she was projecting for construction costs, I almost fell out of my chair. I think I was at the hairdresser, fell out of my chair. I'm like, is that possible that we can get this project done? But when you layer in the public-private partnership, which is essential to get the job done, what are your thoughts, Jenny? I mean, you do a lot of construction projects. What are your thoughts about relying, on a project that's going to be dependent upon public-private partnership to get it done?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts about that. The first one is going to sound negative. It's really not, because I know Ebony, she sounds incredible. I know she's capable of doing it. So, but the thought that I have is it's very complex. Any one of those pieces of private money or public money are complex in and of themselves. I've been involved in a number of projects that utilize those types of things, and every single one of those pieces comes with its own compliance. And so, and there are people and there are things you need to do to tick the boxes, and sometimes that increases cost as well. So you have to fully understand the scope of every one of those pieces. So I think she can do it. Is it underwritten with all of that in mind? I'm not 100% sure if it was with her construction costs, but then she seemed to have contingency covered and padded in a lot of other areas. So I thought the overall budget was good.
Okay, I'm going to go to Emma Claire, because Emma Claire, SHaDPitch alum, now works for Marriott, and you're doing full service developments now. This is a mid-scale extended stay, but what are your thoughts about the structure that she's put together and the ability to be successful in this type of construction project based on your experience?
Yeah, I thought, can you hear, I don't know if my mic's on. I actually thought the cost per key for the construction seemed really reasonable. I thought there were maybe some today where it wasn't as reasonable, but this one felt like, it was, a really good number, and she really thought of everything. Yeah, I think I love how she kind of showed the public-private partnership, how those pieces impacted the returns. So she kind of had that sensitivity analysis where if we have this much in public-private partnership, it's going to be this IRR, and then all the way up to the kind of maximum benefit. So I thought that was really nice and kind of shows to investors, hey, even if one of these pieces falls out, we're still sitting at this IRR, which gets people comfortable, because like Jenny said, that's a lot of moving parts. It's bound for one or two of them maybe not to work out. So I love how she showed that.
Amari, so I'm thinking on the exit, right? And you work all over the country. Did you have a chance to really glean in her exit numbers, and is that realistic, do you think? I know it's 10 years down the road, but from your experience, can you speak to thoughts on an exit and how an owner, might project an exit in a pro forma, how you guys do it when you're, putting deals together to present to buyers?
Absolutely. I mean, the key piece of it is to really have a time machine so you can make sure that it's accurate. But if you don't have that, it's really trying to understand historical data and also what's going to be happening in the market in the future with regards to additional supply coming on. The challenge with any of these deals and underwriting it and looking at what that exit and reverse reversionary value looks like. It's just there are so many things to factor in there. So to best of their ability, that's what they were able to do in that scenario. So with them being able to say that they're going to exit at an 8.5, I think it was an eight-ish cap rate, while that may sound aggressive, and also the targeting, and I'm a sucker for anything social impact. I love impact investments. I love the opportunity that they were talking about from workforce development, but the targeting that social impact investor on a reversionary value on a 10-year-old asset may be a little bit of a challenge. However, we'll have to see if it's achievable. But it was an incredible amount of thought given to not just the reversionary value, but also the capital stack and also risk mitigation along the way. So every time that you saw something was brought up as a potential challenge, is, well, hey, we thought about this, and this would be our solution. So I would like to believe that there'll be some risk mitigation with that cap rate on the exit.
One of the strategies that I appreciated that Ebony put forth was to have the master developer come in and put the land in as equity. Jenny, have you done any projects like that where maybe the master development where the landowner would put the equity in, the land in as equity, excuse me?
Yes, and again, not for me, but I still work for other developers who I've seen this work really, really well, and I've seen it work not so well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like any other relationship. It's a partner and you're going in, and so you have to have everything kind of lined out and well understood. And the best ones work where you have a well-lined out development agreement where everyone understands every line item of the cost that's going to happen. She talked about a pad ready, so that's really important to understand what that entails and how long that's going to take, which seemed like she factored some of that into her time frame. But there's a lot of complexity in that agreement in of itself. I think it can work well. I think you have to be careful.
Well, we're out of time. This was so much fun. I wanted to keep talking. I have so many other questions.
Great one.
But I'll see you
Great
guys back
project.
tomorrow
Yeah.
when we check out the early careers. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible journey we've embarked on together. Now's the time for you to vote on your favorite pitch. Even if you ranked them earlier, use the QR code now to vote for your favorite. Your votes will be used to determine the Viewer's Choice Award. As we draw to a close, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our 4 remarkable women who pitched their visionary projects. Your courage, innovation, and determination are the very essence of what She Has a Deal stands for. Next, I'd like to bring Tracy back to the stage to help me thank our judges and our sponsors.
To our panel of judges, your expertise and insight has been invaluable in guiding today's discussions and deliberations. Thank you for your feedback and investing your time into these women. I know they learned so much from each and every one of you today. We must also express our profound gratitude to all of our sponsors. We only saw a few of them in the videos, but the sponsor support is not just financial, it's a vote in confidence in the mission and the transformational impact that She Has a Deal has on empowering women in hotel ownership and development. You are all an integral part of our success of the program and the journeys of these women. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you.
And to you, our audience, both here and watching from afar, your engagement and enthusiasm have been the heartbeat of this event. Your participation is a testament to the collective desire to see a more inclusive and innovative future in the investment side of the hotel industry. Now, as we conclude today's event, the journey doesn't end here. Remember to cast your vote for the Viewer's Choice Award. You've only got 30 minutes. This is an opportunity for you to use your voice to recognize and reward the incredible talent showcased today. Now, tomorrow, we have the Early Careerist Pitch Competition, starting at 9:30 a.m., immediately followed by the awards luncheon, where all of the winners will be announced. Thank you for being part of celebrating the talent, tenacity, and transformation of all the women today. Until next time, keep championing the dreams and driving the change. We will see you all tomorrow.
Tonight.
Well, yeah, tonight there's a reception,
reception.
tonight. There's a reception tonight. But
Join
yeah.
us in Felt Lounge immediately following the competition for music, food, and drinks. Don't stop in the casino. You have to go through the casino to get there. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
She's brilliant and bold.